직업 스튜디오 라이브 ASL에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
나의 레벨은 다르다. 어나더 레벨 핫식스와 함께하는 ASL 시즌 13 4강 두 번째 날 경기로 인사드립니다. 안녕하세요. 이영경입니다. 지난주 펼쳐졌던 4강 첫 번째 경기를 통해서 이재호 선수가 먼저 결승전 무대에 선착했습니다. 오늘은 4강 두 번째 매치죠. 정윤종 선수와 박상현 선수의 경기를 통해서 이재호 선수의 결승 상대가 가려지게 되는데요. 많은 분들이 큰 기대를 모으고 계시는 오늘의 매치업. 이 두 선수의 발자취부터 저와 함께 살펴보시죠. 먼저 정윤종 선수는 24강 시조에서 정민기 선수와 김성대 선수를 상대로 모두 승리하면서 901일 만에 복귀전을 깔끔하게 마무리했습니다. 박상현 선수는 24강 2조에서 정영재 선수에게는 패배했지만 홍덕 선수와 최호선 선수를 꺾으면서 16강에 올라오게 됐죠. 이 두 선수 모두 16강에서는 죽음의 조를 맞이해야 했는데요. 정윤종 선수는 김지성, 이재호 두 테란 선수를 상대로 승리하면서 A조 1위로 8강 진출에 성공했습니다. 박상현 선수 역시 쟁쟁한 프로토스 두 선수 도재욱 선수와 김태경 선수를 맞이해 한 세트도 내어주지 않으면서 1위로 8강 진출에 성공했죠. 자, 이어진 8강에서 정윤종 선수는 김민철 선수를 만나 풀세트 접전을 펼친 끝에 5시즌 만에 4강 진출에 성공했고, 이 박상현 선수는 지난 시즌 유영진 선수에게 당한 패배를 완벽하게 3대0 승리로 되갚아주면서 시즌10 이후 3시즌 만에 4강 복귀에 성공했습니다. 자, 이어서 양 선수들이 결승에 진출하게 된다면 어떠한 기록들이 세워지는지도 만나보시죠. 먼저 정윤종 선수는 우승을 차지했던 시즌5 이후 8시즌 만에 ASL 결승 진출에 성공하는 것이 되고, 장윤철, 변현재 선수에 이어 2번 이상 결승에 진출한 프로토스가 됩니다. 또한 ASL에서 펼쳐지는 5번째 프로토스와 테란 결승전이 성사되겠네요. 자, 박상현 선수도 살펴보겠습니다. 박상현 선수가 결승에 진출하게 된다면 역시 ASL 시즌10 이후 3시즌 만에 결승에 진출하게 되고, 김정우, 김명훈 선수에 이어 세 번째로 2회 이상 결승에 진출한 저그가 됩니다. 그리고 역시 저그와 테란의 결승전도 ASL에서 5번째로 만나볼 수 있게 되겠네요. 자, 양 선수의 이번 시즌 기세가 올라올 대로 올라왔기 때문에 팬분들은 과연 오늘 경기 어떻게 예상하고 계실까도 무척 궁금했는데요. 방금 전인 7시까지 아프리카TV e스포츠 페이지를 통해서 승부 예측을 받아봤습니다. 그 결과 53%의 팬 여러분들이 정윤종 선수가 결승에 진출할 것이라고 예상하셨는데요. 굉장히 근소한 차이로 앞서고 있는 만큼 오늘 경기 역시 박빙이 펼쳐지지 않을까 생각하게 되네요. 자, 계속해서 이번 시즌 함께했던 16강 선수들은 오늘의 경기 어떻게 예상하고 있을지도 설문을 통해 확인해봤습니다. 11명의 선수들에게 설문을 한 결과 김명훈, 유영진 그리고 조일장 선수는 정윤종 선수의 승리를 예측했고요. 나머지 선수들은 박상현 선수의 결승 진출을 예상했습니다. 다만 그 어떤 선수도 4대0 승리를 예측한 선수는 없었는데요. 이 두 선수 모두 상대 종족전에서 좋은 모습을 보여준 만큼 오늘 경기 역시 끝까지 지켜봐야 할 것 같다는 생각이 듭니다. 나의 레벨은 다르다. 어나더 레벨 핫식스와 함께하는 ASL 시즌 13 박상현 선수와 정윤종 선수, 정윤종 선수와 박상현 선수 이 두 선수의 경기를 통해 승리하고 이재호 선수가 기다리고 있을 결승전으로 향할 선수는 어떤 선수가 될지 두 선수의 경기 지금부터 함께하시죠.
ASL Season13 4강 두 번째 대결입니다. 정윤종 선수, 박상현 선수의 4강전 대결. 오늘 경기 승자가 결승전 두 번째 선수로 올라갈 수 있는 상황이죠. 900일 만에 돌아온 정윤종 선수가 오자마자 결승 가기 직전이에요. 와, 정윤종!
예, 안녕하세요.
네, 뭐만 하기만 해도 잘 되고 완벽한 빌드에 거기다가 마지막 경기의 그 대단한 모습까지, 뭐 사실상 이번 시즌 뭐 우승까지 하는 거 아니라는 이야기들이 나오고 있는 상황인데요. 지금 이 무대 어떻습니까?
우선 저도 하다 보니까 이 자리까지 온 게 돼가지고 조금 신기하기도 한데, 그래도 4강까지 올라온 만큼 이제 좀 욕심이 생기더라고요.
네.
그래서 정말 열심히 준비했으니까 오늘 꼭 이기도록 하겠습니다.
그 900일 동안에 이 기다림 끝에 올라오게 됐는데, 그동안 박상현 선수도 엄청난 성장을 했습니다. 이번 경기 자반에 올라가면 두 번째 결승 진출이 되고, 아직까지 우승 트로피는 없지만 현존하는 저구 중에 정상급의 저구로 성장을 하게 됐는데, 그 부분에 있어서 정윤종 선수 어떤 생각을 하고 계세요?
제가 옛날에 이제 한 3, 4년 전에 스타 했을 때도 굉장히 잘하는 선수라고 저는 생각을 하고 있었어가지고 오늘 좀 쉽지 않을 싸움이 된 것 같아요. 왜냐하면은 대회 때 성적이 결국에는 저는 실력이라고 생각하거든요.
네.
그래서 프로토스전을 워낙 잘하는 선수여서 오늘 좀 치열할 것 같습니다.
그렇다면 이전 상대였던 김민철 선수보다도 정윤종 선수 입장에 더욱더 까다롭고 어려운 선수다?
박상현 선수가 4강을 올라왔기 때문에
네.
더 잘하는 선수죠 지금.
와, 알겠습니다. 박상현 선수, 이번 시즌 지난 결승전에서 우승 못 차지한 그 아쉬움을 털어내기 위해서는 프로토스를 재물 삼아서 올라가야 되는 상황이거든요. 사실 좀 많은 선수들도 뭐 박상현 선수의 지금 진출을 예측해주고 있고, 박상현 선수 이번 시즌 뭐 최고의 선수로 발전하는 거 아니냐라는 평가들이 좀 이어지고 있어요. 그런 부분에 있어서는 어떤 생각을 가지고 있습니까?
난 뭐 제가 좋은 모습 보여줬으니까 그렇게 예측하는 거라고 생각하고요. 예측대로 갈 것 같습니다.
오! 아니, 그렇다면 정윤종 선수 푸항이 900일 만에 AS에 들어와서 4강까지 올라온 상황인데, 박상현 선수에게 시나리오상 프로토스를 만나면 절대 안 진다라는 그런 확신인 거예요.
근데 솔직히 말하면 민철이 형이랑 게임 보기 전까지는 그래도 좀 그렇게 까다로운 상대라고 생각을 안 했었는데, 근데 민철이 형이랑 경기를 보면서 좀 떨리더라고요. 너무 잘해가지고. 그래서 재밌는 게임 될 것 같습니다.
그렇다면 지금 4강에 올라온 프로토스이기 때문에 사실상 현존한 선수들 중에서 박상현 선수 입장에서 가장 까다로운 선수가 정윤종입니까?
네.
와, 서로가 서로 지금 인정하고 있는 상황입니다. 하지만 이 정윤종 선수, 무엇보다 이 우승자 출신들은 항상 큰 무대에서 마지막 경기까지 집중력을 발휘하면서 우승을 해야 진정한 승자로 자리매김하는 거잖아요. 박상현 선수는 트로피가 없어요. 정윤종은 있고, 그 부분에 있어서 그 차이가 오늘 경기에서 영향을 미칠 거라 생각하십니까?
물론 그게 근데 굉장히 차이가 크긴 커요. 우승해본 거랑 안 해본 거랑 좀 하늘과 천지 차이긴 한데, 우승을 했던 선수들도 우승을 못했던 시기가 있었잖아요.
네.
그래서 근데 이제 제가 그래도 좀 짬이 있기 때문에 짬에서 나오는 바이브로
짬바!
이겨오도록 하겠습니다.
그렇다는 얘기는 보통 좀 어떤 선수들 중에서는 첫 시작을 준우승으로 해서 이 준준준준준 쭉 가는 그런 선수들도 있단 말이에요. 그 선수들에게는 어떤 게 좀 부족하다고 생각하시는 거예요?
저는 그렇게 안 해봐서 모르겠어요.
그래요. 자, 박상현 선수 한 번 준우승 이후에 그 넘어서는 모습을 보여줘야 되는데, 대회에서 강력한 정윤종 선수입니다. 박상현이 생각한 정윤종 선수, 지금 한숨 쉰 거예요? 긴장되는 거예요?
네.
야! 아니, 지금 여기서 웃고 지금 여유롭게 하고 있는데, 설마 박상현 쫄?
아니, 항상 대회 때마다 긴장은 해가지고 괜찮아요.
그래서 이제 원래 그냥 이 무대에서의 긴장감이지 정윤종 선수 무서워서 그런 건 아니다.
네.
알겠습니다. 그렇다면 오늘 끝으로 정윤종 선수에게 한 말씀, 어떤 경기 하자? 한 말씀 해주시죠.
여기까지 올라오는 오랜만에 복귀해서 여기까지 올라온 거 정말 대단하다고 생각하고 근데 기적은 여기까지입니다.
와! 정윤종은 실력보다 기적이다. 와! 자, 박상현 선수의 날카로운 정말 한 방을 보여줬습니다. 자, 그렇다면 정윤종 선수도 끝으로 박상현 선수에게 한 말씀 부탁드리겠습니다.
어제도 그 롤 대회에서 우승하는 팀이 또 우승하더라고요. 그 DNA가 오늘도 나오지 않을까.
야!
시드로 만족했으면 좋겠어요.
유전자가 다르다. 황제의 길은 다르다. 자, 과연 어떤 결과가 기다릴까? 온라인에 계신 여러분의 뜨거운 박수로 4강 두 번째 대결을 시작하겠습니다.
Today's matchup.
시즌5의 우승자 정윤종 선수가 돌아와서 경기를 펼칩니다. 중요조 A조.
약점이 정말 하나도 안 보이는 선수. 꽤 긴 시간을 쉬고 돌아왔음에도 지속적으로 활동했던 것 같은 그런 플레이를
8강전 대결입니다. 프로토스 이제 8연승 달리고 있는 김민철.
948일 만에 다전제 경기가 되겠는데 떠잡을 게 없었던 그런 경기력이었던 경기 운영하는 방식이 정말 놀랍네요.
공백기가 전혀 느껴지지 않았어요.
레이 정윤정 프로토스.
아마추어에서 ASL 리거가 된 2시즌 만에 4강에 올라왔습니다. 청난 실력 향상을 좀 선보이면서 결승 무대에 올라온 박상현 선수.
16강에서 걸음을 멈춰야만 됐고
8강의 주인공이 됩니다. 류영진 선수, 박상현 선수 다시 만났어요.
상대의 힘을 역용할 줄도 알고 약점을 돌파할 줄도 알고 이 보리에 대한 이해는 상당하네요. 이 정도 기세라면 우승까지 가능성 충분히 있다고 생각을 합니다.
소마 박상현
ASL Ro.4 Match1 starts tonight. This is Tastosis. We're back. And I got to say, man, I'm super hyped for these two players duking it out. I think this might be one of the best PVZs we have in a long time.
Season13
Oh, for
semi-final.
sure. Like, Soma looks completely unbeatable right now. A lot of people are saying this is going to be his season. Even demolishing Bisu, who has looked a step above all the other Protosses, except for Rain. Rain has been out of control. He took down Sulky, who's one of our strongest macro Zergs. And I think Rain is smarter about StarCraft than pretty much everyone except for Flash.
I think you might be right about that.
He's kind of at that level. I imagine that you would agree with me, or when you just look at the way he plays, he just gets it in a very different way from all the other Protoss players. And so I think this is going to be incredibly close.
Before we get started in this show, guys, we want to thank everybody who's been supporting us on Patreon. That's patreon.com/ASL English. Look, without the support, guys, we wouldn't be able to do this. And this is kind of, in the modern era, this is how things are going to be going down. I mean, people are streaming and getting direct supports from fans there. Now we can do it in a casting format as well. So if you haven't already, look, man, $5, $10 a month really goes a long way for us.
Yeah, thank you everyone so much for supporting. We are absolutely loving it. And I mean, this is one of the best seasons that we've had so far. And honestly, this round of 4, no matter what the matches end up looking like, it's going to be fantastic. So, yeah, it's been a wonderful ride, and this could end up being one of our best series so far. I feel like a lot of the Zerg vs. Protoss matches we see get pretty one-sided pretty quickly, even between really top-end players. But I don't see any real weakness in either of these guys. So, yeah, I think this is going to be an excellent one.
I think the only thing that I'm certain of here is that it is possible for Soma to win this series quickly. Does that make sense? He kills Protosses basically faster than any other Zerg in the world.
Yeah. No, if it's a 4-0 or a 4-1, it's Soma winning for sure.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine, like, no one can kill Soma that quickly. Like, it just is not going to be something that's doable. Taking a quick look at the maps: Revolver, Vermeer, Butter, Allegro, Eclipse, Monopoly, Metaverse. You have any thoughts about the ordering?
I was more intrigued by just seeing Rain go for his two picks after Revolver were maps that are one-on-one maps, two-player maps.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't sure what to think about that. If there's another map he prefers over that, but that's his choice. And look at this, Rain. First of all, not surprising to see the 84% win percentage versus Protoss. I think that's the highest mirror matchup win rate in the world right now.
Yeah, I believe for ASL stats, yeah, I'm sure you're right about that.
And then over here versus Zerg, he hasn't struggled at all, and he's played the most games of that. So clearly, with a 61.4% win rate, that is a very serious opponent for any Zerg to go against.
Yeah. And I mean, it's going to be tough, but there's a lot of games to look at, I think, on both sides for them to really study each other and see what each other really wants to end up doing. What's your actual prediction here, Tastosis? What would you say the final map score is going to be?
I think it's got to be 4-2 or 4-3.
Yeah.
And I personally want Rain to win, but I find it hard to imagine Rain pulling that off. I don't know. Look, I'm a Protoss player, right? And when I see Soma, he honestly scares me more than any other player that I watch. Like, he knows all of the ways to be in the shadows of an early game. The only person I've seen that maybe comes close is Queen and sometimes Jaedong in this matchup. But really, Soma's so scary. And again, this could be a very short series here if Soma just takes control of the game very well. That being said, though, Artosis, I think Rain has maybe some of the best mid-game PvZ in the whole world. I'd say right up there with Mini or Snow as well. But his PvZ is a little bit different from Bisu's, right? Bisu is a guy that tries to, like I would say, make the Zerg submit. I think Rain is a little bit more of a brainy, kind of strategic player who knows really all the Zerg's weak spots and doesn't even need to go for an all-out fight sometimes. Instead, he'll have a plan that kind of turns the Zerg's whole opening on its head.
Yeah, it's a good point. So I feel like what you're saying here, because you didn't actually answer my question, Tastosis, is you think that Soma is slightly advantaged, but you want Rain to win?
I think if Rain can not be beat up in mid-game, he's got a better chance. I think Soma more likely to win. Definitely more likely to win, but I think Soma's greatest strengths is basically the period of the game before Psystorm is done. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But I think that Rain is somewhat invincible at that point. And I think that has to do with his level of understanding, which I think is something that people don't realize, is that the different pro gamers have very different levels of understanding. Like, all of them understand the game like infinitely more than anyone watching, but they really do kind of get it in different ways and at different levels. And I think that Soma and Rain are at the very top of their races as far as understanding exactly what's going, what the timings are going to look like, and what needs to be done. So I think it's going to be hard for Soma to actually kill Rain early.
Yeah, I'm really excited for these two players to kind of change the whole course of the matchup itself. It's two players that we don't think about that often in this matchup against each other, right? These guys don't have an insane history versus each other. And two very interesting stories with these guys as well. Let's keep in mind that Rain was, on a bit of a hiatus here, becoming like a full-time streamer and streaming other games. I think Lost Ark and some other games that are escaping my brain right now, but it's so cool to have him back.
Oh, I'm so happy as well, really. Like, watching Jaedong, Bisu, Rain all come back at the same time. It's a wonderful feeling, and it's really made this ASL very, very special. I hope that they do stick around, and with the type of form that they're all in, it would make sense for them to do so. Both Bisu and Rain making the top 4 immediately. One thing I do want to mention, right, because we have already casted, and you guys should have already seen Light versus Bisu. If Rain loses here, he will play Bisu in the 3rd place match, which would actually excite me almost more than a finals. Just because I really want to see if Rain is 100% the best PvPer ever. Because Bisu kind of holds that as well.
Soma going with some Lady Gaga
Dude.
here. All right, let's do this.
A very different feel when we switch to his music, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, this is one of the new age Zergs, very young, especially when you compare him to the in a game that's this old, I guess, right? 24 years of StarCraft 1. It's good to have these faces that are fresh that we've really only got to see at the highest points of StarCraft in the last couple of years. This guy's hungry, man. He takes this very seriously, and there's got to be so much planning on both sides to get ready to come into this match.
Yeah, totally. I think we're going to see it very well-planned matches, but I don't think it's going to look like very much like a mini-match. You know, those are the most planned matches there have ever been.
I think so. Well, Rain, a lot of what his planning comes from is scouting in the early game and planning something in the mid-game based off the tech that he's ferreted out. Soma going to have a lot of tricks up his sleeve, a lot of booby traps in these games, a lot of deceptive moves to try to throw the Protoss off and punish it. But don't forget, Soma very healthy in the late game as well.
리볼버 SE에서 게임을 시작합니다.
Okay, so
On the
we've
top
got...
right.
I'm sorry, Tastosis.
Oh, Tastosis is mine!
Start the whole show
Get out
over.
of here. All right. Yeah, Rain in the top right. We have Soma in the top left.
Me trying to just take the reins there all of a sudden. I guess that's true. You were always opening up with the positions here. My bad, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just want to say I'm glad that Rain's back. You know, he has one of the biggest streams in Korea. And he has for a couple years now. You know, we've seen this with pro gamers before, even outside of Korea, and I think one of the best examples is... why am I suddenly forgetting this guy's name? The guy who used to play Counter-Strike? Not Summit, but he's also huge. But Shroud, that's right. I suddenly forgot the guy's name. You know, Shroud was a huge pro gamer, and then his stream got so big, it basically, like, money-wise, didn't make sense for him to come back and compete. And Rain's stream is huge. Like, it's crazy how big it was, and still is. And that
Do you
wasn't
know how
even
big
when
it is exactly? I actually don't know. I don't really.
Oh, I've seen like easy 5K at times. Like it's.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I've seen like even higher than that. I don't check it that regularly if it's not StarCraft, to be honest with you, but it's really big. And so I was a little bit worried he wouldn't be coming back. You know what I'm saying? That he might just be like, well, I mean, I like StarCraft, but I also don't want to bother training for this. But you can see he really loves the game and he's returned to it. And that's cool to see. I know that you and I have both been streaming a lot of Tastosis, but I always love that we can have a player like him come back and actually play. And clearly he's put the hours in, whether it's streamed or not, because he's in the top 4 of ASL. This is a guy that was dominant in StarCraft 1 and dominant in StarCraft 2, more so than anybody else in the whole world besides Sulky.
Yeah, that's right. And in fact, I think you can put him a level above Sulky just slightly in both games as well. He was a bit more impactful in StarCraft 2. He was the most important Protoss of his era. He was the first Protoss that could win championships with a passive macro style, like a reactive style. And then in StarCraft 1, he's won multiple championships. Sulky's only won 1 championship, whereas Rain has an ASL and a KSL. So, yeah, I think he's really, like, the thing is you can see it in his play, too. He's just, like, smarter than everyone. And he's also, here's a thing that I found very interesting, Tasteless, is he's very close with Flash, like, on a friendship level. They don't play the same race. They're not from the same Kespa team, but quite good friends. And I kind of think in my head that might have to do with how smart they both are and how much they both get the game, right? Because it's like, I really think that they're the smartest 2 players overall with the way that they look at it. I don't know if you'd agree with that or not.
No, I would very much agree with that. They really seem to have a handle on the game, and in some ways, when you look at a player like that, it's not so much about brute force almost ever. And I'm not saying I don't like players that like to brawl or fight, but Rain almost always seems to sidestep the difficult parts of an RTS, which I think is one of the big indicators of a player who's actually very good at the game, is they don't always try to trudge through the mud and make the game harder than it needs to be. And instead, by the way, I'm sorry, we got to point this out. The den has been placed in one of the funniest spots.
Yeah.
It's placed like where a creep colony would be, but keep in mind that Rain knows if he goes down the ramp, Soma can block that, so he's just going to commit to coming up here. The den makes very quickly, so every second that you don't see the den means the rush is going to be that much more of a threat, and I think the fact that he sees that there's no layer, he's just going to skip the Stargate, excuse me.
Yeah, and he did. He went right into the Citadel, so we might see like a very quick DT rush, possibly quick Psystorm here as well, and he sees that the den has been made, so a very strange opener from both sides, I'd say.
This is actually pretty good from Rain. He's going to go for Charged Zealots. And this can actually counter the Hydras, depending on how quickly they get there. So, but, that being said, he took a second gas, so maybe I should hold my breath on that. Usually, if you see this, it means, oh no, he's actually not mining the gas. So he made the gas, saw it, and stopped. If he saw that there was like a layer about to finish at the natural, then he would be mining that and probably getting air weapons. But in this game, Rain had a very good read, so we should see like 3 more gateways-ish come down. Oh, wow. Tastosis, this is so crazy. Does he go for DT drop instead?
Well, the Overlord sees this. He might just go into Psystorm, is my guess. Because, like, if the Overlord comes in and sees what's going on, you're not going to just play into his hands, right? Like, you're not going to play into 4-gate speed lot or, just a DT wandering across the map and ruining your day. If that Overlord hadn't come in, then maybe Soma's in trouble at that point. But, right now I feel like for Rain, we might just see him pop out a High Templar relatively soon and just get this ground army that looks unbeatable against a Soma that skipped layer.
Yeah, let's see. I mean, the truth is, if the Hydras can't do that much damage to you, you're going to be fine. By the way, it seems like the moment the Soma was spotted, he just full-on halted the Hydra production. Unless we start to see Hydras come out of eggs, that's pretty much what we've got here. So, very good scouting here by Rain. And, I thought, maybe it was going to be charge lots. Maybe because it's scouted, he just stops. And I guess there's a lot of ideas to this as well, in that, you might as well just get the upgrades that you need and power up. You don't have to attack at a specific moment if it's not going to lend you any favor, right?
The DT coming out into the map towards that third base location. We have a Stargate coming up now as well. I felt like I heard a cancel.
Maybe I got to turn my volume up. I didn't actually hear that.
I'm not 100% sure, but okay, there it is. Just one of the cannons getting canceled off. But another DT walking out now as well. He did pick off a drone or two with this one down at the bottom. Yeah, just one. Second one goes down. Third one goes down. Doesn't quite get the fourth, so good defense there from Soma, I guess. The Corsair flying over a bunch of speed Hydras as they walk across the map.
So he gets the Stargate a little bit later. That way he can scout and try to figure out, okay, is he going to make a Spire or not? And if not, we might see a shuttle get made coming up here.
I don't see any High Templar yet.
No, you don't usually just get a High Templar early like that. I think that's an older way to play because, they're just going to dodge a storm and come back and kill all your stuff. You know what I mean? Instead, usually want to try to power up, get your upgrades, start making more stuff. Templars are going to be necessary a little bit later on.
Dude, he has canceled like a lot of cannons so far this game, deciding this is actually all he needs. Speed is done for these Zealots with their +1 attack, +1 armor, certainly on the way right now for Rain. Pushing those Hydras back immediately.
Yeah, chases that Corsair away. The Zealots are now on the move. It's been kind of a funny game tempo-wise, right? There's been opportunities for both players to have explosive moments, but They've, on each side, actually quickly identified it's not going to work out and shifted gears, I think, very intelligently. The Zealots are going to come down over here. Keep in mind there's no Sunken Colony here, which causes a bit of a problem here. I mean, some of the Zealots can get around and do damage, but the SimCity alone is still pretty good. More Hydras and Lings are going to come up here. And more importantly, he's going to be getting the drones, and especially this Overlord.
But look at Soma, already another one popping out. He knew that this was going to occur and is already prepared for it. So everything does end up getting cleaned out. He loses some drones, but he has a lot of hatcheries and can get those back pretty quickly.
Yeah, this has been an interesting one. A couple swipes there over onto the side of Soma, but Soma's still in okay shape. He's on 5 hatches, so teching is still going to be something that's kind of doable here. But I got to say, the production here from Rain is looking pretty scary. He should already have, I think, +1 attack, so armor probably coming down here as well.
Yeah, no doubt about that. It's been just so trendy to go into +1 armor and then even +2 armor after that. These Zealots just running around the center, still picking off some Overlords with these Corsairs. They do have +1 air attack, by the way. I'm actually almost a little bit surprised with how late the Stargate was and the fact he only made 2, that he still got that +1, but that seems to be like a hallmark of the very best Protoss players, is that they will just get that upgrade every game.
Yeah, it does seem to be the case for that. He needs to find the Spire and identify that there is the possible threat of Mutalisks coming out here. So these Hydras are going to do everything they can to try to block this off. Really good maneuvering here from Soma. 4 Zealots are going to come in here, and it doesn't look like there's really any, or at least enough Hydras to kind of defensively tend to this matter. So a drone goes down, he pulls back out, and here it is. The shuttle's going to come through the map. There is an Overlord to spot.
Oh, that turn! Are you kidding me?
I can't believe
he's
that.
so good with that. The shuttle is like barely going into Soma's vision, but then it's going to fly. Oh, that's too funny. The Zealots buying that shuttle its life by bringing the attention of Soma over here. Now, Rain is targeting down some drones, so the Zealots won't die completely in vain.
Yeah, he's looking for damage. I do feel like Soma's playing maybe slightly better here. And I think that, and I might be wrong, but I think there's going to be some Mutas hatching here. Maybe not. You don't have to just because you made a Spire. But an attack would be pretty nice over here on this base that Rain is trying to take right now. If he decides not to attack that, that's okay. But then Zerg needs to expand and play into a later game. Otherwise, he needs to lean into the position that he's in and try to snipe these Templars, these 4 that are over here right now.
Well, if he doesn't go into Mutas, like, I mean, pure Hydra just won't stand up against this. Does he have to go into like a Lurker? I guess this answers
so that
for me, right?
answers
Is the Mutas coming out now?
Oh, but he can use the shuttle to hide the Templars here, which we've seen done before.
Yeah,
and,
from Bisu.
Yeah, and this seems to be like a very modern tactic. I feel like this is just maybe, I don't know. I feel like this tactic is fresh out the oven, man, as far as I can tell, especially now that we're seeing Rain.
For sure, yeah.
Okay, so he's going to have the shuttle come up here and drop. He can still use that to protect the Templars later on, but putting the 4 Zealots up here just makes it tough to keep the main safe. And the Protoss wants to push, but not necessarily push too fast, because it's important that you try to figure out, okay, where are the Mutas not? Now, since the Mutas are defending, these Psystorms are insane. Oh my god.
The attention of Soma elsewhere. He eats these storms so badly on the Hydras. This gigantic Dragoon count going to continue to try to attack up this ramp. Still some Zealots, still some Storms, as well as the Mutas come in. And a beautiful storm of those Mutas, taking a lot of health off of them. This is looking pretty damn good for Rain.
Yeah, the question is, can Rain actually... Well, we don't even ask that question. There is no question. Rain takes game 1 in an impressive fashion. I'll tell you, dude, just identifying what was coming there, pulling back and not overcommitting with the Zealots like I think a lot of Protosses do. Just getting the 2 DTs, trying to do a little bit of control play and power up, and then get a Stargate later on to scout. A very elegant game there from Rain to start things off. And, dude, that's the mid-game I was talking about that makes Rain oh so scary.
Yeah. I feel like he just makes more Dragoons and hits these attack timings that other people are missing. Amazingly played. And that was so straight up from Rain. He was very, very flexible with his scouting to adjust the way that he approached that game. I'm just entirely impressed. And this shows the moment where he did drop off in the main. The Mutas actually flew up to deal with this pretty quickly.
I think that was the mistake.
Yeah,
I
it
think
seems so.
The Mutas have to snipe the Templars. They have to. Now, there's a problem, of course, if you can't deal with that. But these storms are just too devastating. That one, and then this one, and the third one, all of them getting crazy value. And, look, that's all it takes, man. When their 4 Templars get 4 storms off that are amazing, the game's done. And so Rain, again, he makes that mid-game look so easy, but again, he didn't overcommit in any way. He didn't sense that he could do any damage, so why bother trying? Guys, Game 2 with Rain versus Soma is coming up next. We'll be right back.
힘들어도
어려워도 이렇게 멈추면 내가 아니지.
오늘이 보여.
새로운 날을 만든다.
나의 레벨은 다르다. 어너더 레벨 핫6.
내 인생의 해답을 찾아주는 행ging 상담소. 2년 반 만에 공백을 깨고 돌아온 정민종 선수와 함께 하겠습니다. 들어오세요.
안녕하세요.
정윤종. 네, 정민종 선수가 원래 대회에서 약간 얼떨떨한 표정을 짓는 걸 저는 잘 못 봤거든요. 오늘은 진짜 그 표정이 나오더라고요.
아, 내가 진짜 이겼네? 약간 이런 느낌이었어요.
얄미워요. 너무 재능러야. 김연아 선수가 막 1년 동안 올림픽 끝나고 쉬고 다시 세계선수권 돌아왔을 때 금메달 따고 막 이랬을 때 진짜 막 다들 놀랬잖아요.
근데 감당 가능하세요?
아니요?
김연아 선수랑 저랑 네.
정윤종 선수의 이 버킷리스트는 뭘지 내 인생의 해답이라는 책인데요. 버킷리스트를 말씀해 주시면 제가 이 책을 펼쳐서 해석을 해드리는 시간을 갖도록 하겠습니다.
집중률이 어느 정도 되죠?
100%죠.
100%?
네.
알겠습니다.
첫 번째.
일단은 나이 30 정도 됐으니까 여자친구가 좀 있었으면 진짜 없는 지 좀 됐거든요.
그래요? 얼마나
네.
되셨어요?
없는 지 이제 한 1년 반 정도 돼가지고
과연
네.
다가올 이성이 생길지 한번 자 볼게요. 빨리 해결해라. 지금 1년 반 동안 지금 이게 넋 놓고 있을 때가 아니에요. 지금
빨리 해결해라.
빨리 해결하세요. 지금
좀 조언 좀 해주세요. 어떻게 해야 돼요?
이제 정윤종 선수가 수동적인 자세에서 벗어나서 적극적으로 개념 있는 여성분을 찾아 나서야 된다라는 의미에서 구애할 수 있는 시간을 드릴게요.
제가요 구애?
네.
안녕하세요. 일단 31살이고요. 92년생. MBTI는 이제 ISFP. 혈액형 O형이고 키는 181에 몸무게 요새 한 78kg. 괜찮죠? 딱 사이즈?
어디로 연락드리면 돼요?
제 아프리카 개인 방송 와가지고
오케이.
별풍선 쏘시고 네, 자기 어필 하시면 됩니다. 제가 또 시간이 많이 없기 때문에
네네네. 관심 있으신 우리 여성분들 꼭 정윤종 선수의 개인 방송을 통해 컨택을 시도해 보시기 바랍니다. 자, 다음 버킷리스트.
서울에 집 사는 거.
서울에 집 사기.
제가 또 이제 태생이 서울이다 보니까
기대되네요. 뭐가 나올지. 한번 잘 뽑아볼게요. 다시 뽑아볼게요. 다시 뽑아볼게요.
다른 걸로 할까요?
어려워. 이거 안 돼.
제가 해드릴게요 그냥.
그럼 나도
네.
내 집 마련.
내 집 마련 예측 불가. 이거 여기도 책도 모른단 마인드.
확실히 부동산 문제는 좀 예민하니까 넘어가 보도록 할게요.
네, 알겠습니다.
자, 다음 버킷리스트.
이거 중요한 거예요.
뭔데요?
100만 클럽이라고 한 달에 이제 100만 개 받는 그런 사람들이 있어요. 그 클럽에 저도 가입하고 싶은데 한 번도 받은 적이 없거든요. 저도.
정윤종 100만 개 클럽 가입할 수 있을까? 당신 앞에 있는 장애물을 극복해라. 당신 앞에 있는 장애물이란 그 수동적인 태도. 가만히 있으면 사람들이 만들어줄 거라는 그런 장애를 극복해라.
좀 도와주시면 안 돼요? 100만 개 클럽.
자, 다음 버킷리스트 가겠습니다.
커플끼리 해외여행 가기.
지금 여자친구도 없는데 WD 하겠다. 걷지도 못하는데 뛰겠다라는 얘기를 한 것 같은데 그럼 혹시 이제 같이 여행을 가고 싶은 커플이 있나요 지금?
봉준이 형, 맥킴이 형, 뭐 보성이 형, 뭐 이런 형들이랑 가고 싶은데 그들도 다 여자친구가 없어서.
야! 해라.
나중에 처리해라.
지금 제가 정확하게 나왔잖아요 지금. 기지도 못하는데 뛰겠다라는 말과 크게 다르지 않다.
아니 나중에 언제예요 근데?
그 여자친구를 만들고.
그러면은 뭐 환갑 여행을 가는 걸로 같이. 그때쯤이면 다 있겠죠. 그때 가겠습니다.
나중에
환갑
처리해라.
여행으로 가겠습니다.
자, 이제 박상현 선수와의 4강 이야기를 좀 해보고 싶은데
네.
오전 3선승제 저그전 김민철 선수를 넘고 나니까 또 다른 저그 7전 4선승 제가 기다리고 있습니다. 그럼 그 운명을 정유정 선수가 한번 펼쳐보면 좋을 것 같아요.
딱 한 번 하는 건가요?
확실하다!
확실하다.
확실하다!
근데 뭔가 자신감이 생겼어요. 뭔가 될 것 같아요.
자, 끝으로 4강에 임하는 각오를 들려주시죠.
항상 지는 거는 싫어요. 여기까지 왔기 때문에 또 결승전 또 우승할 수 있도록 연습 열심히 할 테니까 응원 많이 해주셨으면 좋겠어요. 박상현 선수랑도 연경기 했으면 좋겠습니다.
기대하겠습니다.
감사합니다.
ASL Season13
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining us here on this amazing this match to find out who's going to go on to the finals, man. It's been so sick. And we also want to say, guys, thank you so much for supporting us on Patreon. That's patreon.com/ASL English.
Yeah, it has been amazing so far, and I got to say that first game, Tastosis, I'm just so impressed with Rain. Like, I thought Soma was going to win coming in, but after that game, like, his reactions, his reads, everything seemed amazing from Rain, whereas from Soma, it felt like his attention went in the wrong direction a couple times. I'm not sure why those mutas flew into the main. Maybe he thought DTs were getting out of the shuttle or something like that, but I mean, he instantly lost for doing that.
It was a weird moment. I think it could have been a little bit closer. I think that Rain was definitely keeping, Soma on his toes. Keep in mind, even those DTs running in there and getting a kill or two on the drone, that really adds up when you have a player coming off a 3-hatch trying to play a tight game. They don't have a lot of workers.
In a situation like that, is there like a set number you're looking for? Because obviously the DT costs a lot more than like 2-3 drones. So is there like a number you're looking for? You're like, okay, that feels about even.
I mean, I don't know for sure, but I feel like if you get 3, it's really good.
Oh, okay. And you're like
yeah.
kind of allowed to lose the DT at that point because they did like skip drones for so long, that type of thing.
I think so. I mean, the truth is, that seems like such a specific thing. I'm not 100% confident in it, but it feels like that in the games I play. And
sure.
I mean, the point is, like, you get those drones down here and there and kind of not overextend, but apply that pressure. And, I think maybe he was too panicked when he saw that shuttle coming to his main and just scurried back there. And that's really when the Templars were able to blanket that area. Now, let's not forget that did start out with a 3-hatch into Hydra opening that was scouted. And then, it was funny because we saw the speed lot possibility as an opening. That was abandoned. The Hydra bust was abandoned. So these guys are really moving around here as far as what tech choices they want early on. I think this might be one of the most fun early game ZVPs. I know we talked about how cool it was with Mini just rushing into a core, but Mini does a lot of crazy stuff early on to cut corners, but Rain and Soma, this is a different beast, man. Soma is an absolute killer. The moment you don't have intel, you have to be worried about some kind of move that is intended to end the game. We're going to Vermeer here for map number 2.
Yeah, this is a really big map that Soma has picked, so I think it's going to be easier for him to get into a longer, bigger game here. But we'll see if he's the one that threw down that Hydralisk den so quickly. So is he going to go for something like that again?
전투 준비 완료.
Is it pleasing to me that it's seeking for you? Tell them the story, tell them the truth. Is it pleasing to me that it's seeking?
버미오에서 게임을 시작합니다.
In the top right, we have Rain. And in the bottom left, we have Soma cross-spawn. So as far away as they can get from each other on the biggest map in the pool, as far as I know.
It feels like the biggest map. We've certainly had the longest games of the season on this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's see what kind of game we're going to get, coming into this. I don't think, by the way, in this series, we're going to have any one-base play from Rain. I don't think he's going to try anything like what Mini would do in any of these games. If he does, I welcome it. Interestingly enough, though, and it probably won't happen on this map with, how far along we are, but Rain did in the past, and I think it was especially in KSL, he was very okay with proxy gating, which it seems like other Protosses don't do in this matchup. So that's just one other thing I want to put out there for this whole series. I actually meant to say that in the first game, but the Hydra tech came in, and I kind of got derailed on the stuff I had planned on saying as the series opened up.
Yeah, I'm remembering actually there were definitely games where Rain would make one proxy gate out on the map against some of these Hydra builds. That really isn't very common, is it? And look at this, he's cross-spawn scouting. How crazy is that? Yeah.
Okay, I don't know about this opener. I don't know. And it's also Overpool.
So he'll go Nexus first here. This will be his second Nexus first in a row. And the previous game, he scouted counterclockwise, like horizontally, and went Nexus first. Here he scouted cross-spawn and went Nexus first.
Well, he found him first after the pylon scout, so that makes sense. But the cross-spawns I'm very intrigued by. So I guess the play is if you don't scout them cross-spawn, you just
must go forge.
A forge or a gate. I think a forge makes more sense. I think the forge complements the distribution of minerals and the scouting probe, right?
Yeah, and just like the timing of it, right? Like if you want the gateway, you want to get that a little bit earlier, I think. So very, very interesting to see these types of things evolve for Protoss, because that's a huge thing in Protoss versus Terran right now as well, is cross-spawn scouting when you're going for Nexus first. So I guess, you're looking for the maximal advantage 1/3 of the time with this.
Well, it's so funny because... And I mean, I think that everybody knows this, but it's worth kind of reiterating here to get the point across. But the Nexus functions like a pylon or a depot or an overlord, right? Same with the command center, for instance. So if you're able to skip one pylon early on, it actually accelerates everything that's coming. So anytime you can do these builds, it's really strong.
Oh, for sure. And just getting the additional mineral patches a bit earlier, getting the double pro production a little bit earlier, and getting everything else afterwards. With more regular builds, if you're building production and units before your expansion, everything comes out so slowly at that point because you have to stall out to make the 400 minerals and all that. So, I mean, it's a couple great starts for Rain here so far.
Yeah, Rain, I think really, again, we talk about how strategic he is. By the way, guys, you notice how you never see the cybernetics core at the natural? That's because he just skipped a pylon. He's getting it out so fast, he doesn't have a normal spot to put that, so he has to kind of, throw it off to the side at his main entrance. Uh-oh, it got stuck. Now, this is what we got to watch for. The probe's gone. The Soma, go for it.
Dude, it's cross-spawn. It's against Nexus first. I don't think so.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think if you try to Hydra bust here, Rain just laughs and holds it and is so far ahead.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think
and it looks like Soma is going to skip it too, yeah.
Yeah, you nailed it. It's not worth it. But, a big victory there for Soma in that he kills the probe. You don't know what's happening. Rain sends a Zealot out into kind of an obscure direction because he wants to try to hide this somewhere in the wide open empty map, because if Lings come out or start to pressure him, he can then send that Zealot back in there and start to try to kill drones.
And look at this, as the Lings run past, the Zealot is making his way over, but there are more Lings being made. So it doesn't seem like the Zealot's really going to end up doing much damage since 4 Lings are waiting for it. And yeah, they're going to catch it right away here. Look at that wall, a Dragoon and a probe and a cannon. Citadel coming up already. Oh, Soma having a hard time clicking on that probe there. Did you see that? Everything got stuck.
Yeah, he tried to. By the way, the Zealot comes in here, and I mean, I guess it's basically a scouting Zealot here. I love the block with the one Dragoon there. It's like exactly fat enough that it completely seals off the wall.
Yeah.
And he's going to go for Citadel first into Stargate again here.
Yeah, this is really some rain specific play that we're seeing here, right? Like,
yeah, I mean,
it feels so different from Mini.
It's so different. I'm sorry, I'm kind of running over you here or there, Tastosis. I'm like totally, my brain is like being overclocked right now, seeing this because this is a little bit different than what basically everybody does in the matchup, right? Like he's going for air weapons. We know that because the cybernetic score has, you know, the spinny thing on top of it. But
yeah,
look at him go. That thing has to go so fast to upgrade the air weapons. But at the same time,
how many times does it have to spin before a +1 finishes? That's the question.
We're going to eventually have to figure that out. That's for the future of StarCraft. Maybe 2,000 spinnies to get that upgrade. But he goes for air weapons, but doesn't rush the Corsairs. Instead, he tries to get Zealots out. Get a gateway. It seems to be very important that he gets tech up as well. We see that there's probably Zealot charge coming, but also there is a robotics facility and a Templar archive. So I've seen Rain do something like this before. I think he did it against Larva.
Yeah.
And it's a DT drop. But
that is what it looks like here. Like if he goes DT drop, I mean, that would be pretty tricky, right? He has a Corsair out. He has legs. He has like +1 or it's about to finish. You're probably not expecting DTs to drop in your base as well. That's like everything at once.
Well, also, this is a very not droppable main. You know what I'm saying? Normally, the droppable mains, the third base for the Zerg is kind of off to the side, and so there's this blind spot, an organic blind spot to get in there. I guess it's kind of there on this map. If you look at the very far left on the map, I guess, sort of, kind of, a shuttle with DTs could, like, just skid through that little lane where you can't really see anything.
That is such a far away, though, to try to fly in.
It's a far away, yes.
That is, like, much miles away. Like, that's kind of crazy.
It is. I mean, let's see if I'm right. I will tell you guys, sometimes when I cast these, like, really good Protoss players, and I try to put myself out there, I'm like, yeah, I don't understand what they're doing. As I see it pan out, it's like, oh, he sees the game very differently than me. But let's see.
Well, that would make sense that the best player in the world is really looking at it differently from everyone else, and it's kind of hard to read exactly what they're up to. A good amount of Corsairs out right now. Here we go. He does pick up something in the shuttle. We didn't get to see what it was.
It has to be DTs. I mean, I don't think he would Storm drop now. That's just like a weird kind of...
I don't think he has Storm drop ready. Like, I mean, the Templar Archive's just barely finished.
Well, it's hard to get a Robo with all the gas and then have Templars and then have Storm. That doesn't seem to, like, kind of math out. But, you know, he's doing what he can with these Zealots, and these Zealots are kind of... It's a bit of control play. You know, you're kind of keeping the attention of the Zealots here. Zergs have been conditioned to get very, you know, defensive posture-wise when they see Zealots on the map.
Well, there are High Templars coming out, just waiting at home, and he is going down that left lane that's so many much miles away. He's going to try to James Bond game it into the main base.
Yeah, look at this. He's got his PP7 out and everything. And I guess, look at that. It is just...
Oh, my God.
Dude, someone's just going to die.
Yeah.
This is crazy to me.
Yeah. Okay, here goes the DT. I think Soma has no idea. He has no detection, and you're not going to hear this either. Like, you have to actually look and see it. And this is why he's hitting with the Zealots at the same time. Oh, but he swings onto the hatchery. So now Soma realizes Rain with a small mistake. They're going to go after the Spire now, and he's going to get that as well.
This is pretty insane, man. I mean, talk about planning. You know, I was talking about how it's not convenient to try to drop here. It really isn't, but he's making it work. He's hid the DTs now in the corner. He's using the Zealots to kind of draw the screen around here and make it a little bit tougher to deal with. Now, he wants to split the DTs here. You basically want to make him do as much extra work as possible, trying to catch up. And behind this man, Zealot High Templar push. Corsairs ready.
Everything coming across the map right now. Beautiful
God, he's so
micro,
good.
keeping those Corsairs alive. Rain completely on top of everything right now. 1-1 upgrades even done. The High Templars lagging a little bit. Such slow units, taking their time to get across the map. But look at that Zealot Swarm.
This is crazy. He's going to take a fight down here. There's what, like one Sunken Colony and maybe another one that could be ready. The flank from the High Templars is pretty good.
Oh my god, this storm could be so juicy. He actually misses with that High Templar on the right, but does get a couple very good ones here. The Corsairs going after Overlords this whole time as well. Everything's starting to evaporate here for Soma.
Well, I mean, you know, he's taken a lot of damage. The Zealots are still kind of filtering through. This Sunken Colony is goated, man. He cannot get near that thing in the very back, so he's going to back up. Maybe a slight overextension. I think that if it could have gone better, maybe Rain would have blanketed the actual worker line with the storm. That can be acceptable.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, a bit of a tit for tat there. I don't think that Soma can easily retaliate, though.
Well, as long as he has that goated Sunken, man, he's pretty invincible.
Dude.
Like, I think you need air units to kill that thing. After watching that
crazy.
battle, it was like 20 speed lots, and he didn't even damage it.
He's got to get carriers just to kill the goated Sunken Colony, man. So, I mean, he's going to try to push out again. I don't think that Soma's entirely safe, by the way, guys. I mean, Rain is sniping Overlords here or there, and you can see that, like, he's kind of dipping in and out of being supply blocked. And a lot of times, if a Zerg's supply blocked for a little bit, that's the moment where you can kind of just tear through.
Looking at the supply, like a 45 supply advantage for Rain, looking pretty damn good, but his third base is a bit later here. Rain trying to break through Lurker Eggs now. Oh, here we go. Storm Egg returns. And the Lurker will pop out, but he already has an Observer down here.
This is kind of an awkward fight here for Rain. I think he might still have a shot to take it, but, you know, all the right pieces are in the wrong spots, so to speak. Looks like he's going to get through
He's getting on top of the hatcheries now. There's, like, is there going to be enough Hydras to clear this out? I think he's going to be able to kill the hatch. Probably even both of them if he just right-clicks.
I mean, does he have a Storm available here? Got to be careful with those Lurkers.
Not.
Oh, man, it's a bit of an attack that's a little bit too clunky. Rain going to come here with these Zealots, but that goated Sunken Colony remains.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's actually hitting that base again. That Sunken Colony I want to keep my army away from. But the Corsairs come up and are going to kill a ton more Overlords during this time. But the overall supply swing in the last, like, 1 minute while we've watched these battles has gone overwhelmingly towards Soma. It was, like, his supply hasn't moved, and Rain's is down 30.
Yeah, Rain is kind of, I think almost, oh, this is kind of sexy. Look at this.
Oh.
That is insane, dude. He's so good.
Yeah, I thought that he had lost a lot of his lead there, and then he just massacres all the drones. Look at these Corsairs zoning out any Overlords while the DT goes to work in that main base. Overlord's trying to come up, but he's just going to clear those out as well.
This is wild, man. There's still 2 Templars in there, by the way. Like, he's not finished. Oh, God.
Dude, if he had gotten that group on the right there, that would have been about it. Almost no drones left over. The Corsairs finding more Overlords. God, these Corsairs are killers.
Yeah, you know, he skipped the Spire, and so the Corsairs can kind of just maneuver around any threats, and especially when things get chaotic, and, you know, it's a real balancing act for the Zerg to have the Overlords where they need to be, to have... okay, here we go. Another Storm drop inbound here. Is there any DT in here? Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh! You're kidding me.
Not even the larvae are safe at this point. GG.
He just taps out.
Dude, Rain is massacring Soma so far. Remember when we were saying if there was like a 4-0 or a 4-1, it would be Soma winning? What fools we were.
Yeah. I mean, he's so good. It's so crazy. The fact that he for a little bit there, it looked like he wasn't doing what he needed to do, and it's like, no, this is fine. I'm just going to storm drop and DT drop the main again. By the way, my Corsairs are still moving around. Crazy.
I'm like so unbelievably impressed with Rain, and I already was, but Soma has actually looked like the most deadly player so far, and Rain is just sidestepping everything. I think actually I get more what you said earlier, where he like kind of... What did you say exactly? Something like he sidesteps all the hard parts?
Yeah.
Like, he just... The way he plays, he's like, oh, these points of the game, you know, every matchup has these points that are really hard to deal with. He's just like, nah, I skip those and I go to the easy parts and I nail those home.
He makes
crazy.
the victory as frictionless as possible. Like, I would look at this and I would never think to like actually confirm there's like a sliver they can't see. I don't think Soma thought that either. You know what I mean? So this DT comes in here, and by the way, he misclicked for a second. One of them attacked the egg, or Soma literally wouldn't know. I think we see it here. Yeah. Right, that one. It hits the hatchery, actually. So, I mean, that's crazy to me. That that was just a start, by the way. I think the closer was even more impressive when the DT came back, and there was the storms, and then 3 storms after that.
Yeah, because he had actually lost like a lot of units over at that 4th base. He lost like 30 supply, and then he just stormed all the drones away. So it started to look good for Rain again after that.
So sick, man. Damn, he's crazy good. And also, again, Citadel, Stargate a little bit later. It's nuts, man. I can't believe it.
Yeah. I don't know, man. This is looking really one-sided right now, but I want to believe that Soma is going to be able to fight back against this. To be fair, it was a couple of Nexus first plays, right? And
that's true.
You can't see that every single game. We're going to get into maps like Butter and Eclipse where, you know, it's a 2-player map. Maybe there's some more aggressive plays that Soma can do there. But so far, like, Rain just looks impenetrable.
I mean, I want to go back to the thing I said earlier that you were even mentioning. Like, it's that he makes it look so easy. He's not engaging in the difficult parts of the matchup. He's also not overcommitting at all early on here. Now, the DT drop, we've seen him do that before. He seems to like DT drop play more than any other Protoss that I can think of. That I've ever casted, to be frank, and in this matchup specifically. But can he do that again? I don't know. I feel like you have to kind of rotate that build order out.
You think Soma's just gonna be like more on guard for it?
Well, I mean, you know, it's just like you wouldn't vulture drop a Protoss every game, right? You want to kind of bring it in some games and pull it out others. But that map seems specifically... For Rain's own mindset, he seemed to want to come into that and try to do a vulture drop. A DT drop super fast, because it looked like that wouldn't work unless you had really studied that specific position and realized that unless there's an overlord that's actually to the side, you will actually get in there undetected.
Okay, that makes sense, but now that I'm thinking about it, you're like, you wouldn't vulture drop Protoss every game, but if they were invisible Tastosis, I get 2 drop ships, okay? Like, they would be the only thing that I would ever do.
Okay, fair enough. They're only a little bit slower and have explosive minds, but you're right, fair enough. No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So Rain right now, if he doesn't get that economic advantage to begin with, because, you know, Nexus first, that's what it does, is it going to look the same? If everything is a little bit slower, you know, if everything's like 30 seconds slower, is that going to be enough for Soma to actually swing these games in his favor?
Okay, so, I mean, I don't know, but here's what I would say. I would say that in one of these games, we're going to see Rain do like a cross scout or a pylon scout and not find Soma first, right? I mean, probability is certainly on our side for that happening, right? So what we got to see is how does his very optimized builds, how do they pan out when he doesn't get to cut the corners he wants to cut because he just gets a late scout?
It's a good point. Like, I think you have to go forward. You're going to have to get a cannon. Everything's going to be a lot slower. And I guess maybe he sends a second probe out scouting the other direction as well, because if you scout cross spawn in this type of situation, and then like they're not the second spot you scout, if you didn't send out that second probe, now you really have no idea. Hydras are going to be at your base before your probe gets there almost. So there's definitely a little bit of risk going on here.
Yeah, certainly. And I think that's kind of what we need to see is like, and I'm not saying that Rain's getting lucky. I don't want to give that impression either, but he is. Things are kind of lining up, right, scouting wise, in both games. Immediate scout to confirm the first Nexus, and then cross-spawn scout to also confirm the first Nexus. So, also, Soma hasn't committed, really, to aggression in a way that I kind of thought he would, like he did in that super famous series against Bisu, one of the most action-packed PvZs. What was that, like 2 or 3 years ago? Amazing series to cast. Yeah, I mean, let's see. You know, there's still plenty of room for Soma to recover, but I'll tell you, dude, if Rain wins the next game, it's going to be a very, very tough series for Soma. You know, to combo 4 wins and come out on top, hard to imagine.
No, it's pretty impossible, especially at this level. Set 3 is going to be on Butter. It's a 2-player map. So, honestly, this is a map where your build order can be even more planned out than what we've seen from Rain so far.
Sure.
So, you know, based on what Soma is doing here, we definitely could see a Nexus first. Just throwing that out there.
ASL Season 13 전투 준비 완료.
Is it pleasing to me that it's seeking for you? Tell them the story, tell them the truth. Is it pleasing to me that it's seeking for you?
버터에서 게임을 시작합니다.
In the top right, we have Rain. And in the bottom right, we have Soma. Any thoughts, Tasteless, on Butter just in general for PvZ?
Not exactly, not yet. I mean, I feel like, you know, obviously one-on-one maps, you know, both sides can get the confirm on what's happening earlier on. And like you were saying before we did the zooming shots and then started the game, but I'm not sure yet. I feel like I have a better idea, you know, in PvP and PvT a little bit more so, but, you know, it seems like it's going to be another map where Rain wants to expand again. He does seem to just basically want to go, well, first of all, Nexus first ideally, but if not, you know, Forge expand or Gate expand, but you know, I'm not sure, Tastosis, with this map. I'm sorry. I wish I had more to tell you, but I don't.
No, I get it. Like, Butter isn't, like, on ladder or anything yet, so basically it's like the games that we watch for the most part here.
It's like I tell the truth, or I possibly look like an asshole, and I have no idea what I'm talking about. And that happens enough just me trying to be good at my job. So I'm like, I'm gonna cut my losses here.
Wow, Tasteless. See, it sounds like you have the opposite problem of me. I tell the truth and look like an asshole for doing so. So this was a probe that went like way around for the scout. So avoiding any overlords or incoming drones, and he sees that it's a hatchery first, which means that Rain, once again for the 3rd game in a row, will go Nexus first.
I feel like we're starting to make some kind of a record here for Nexus first this many times in a row in a PvZ.
You're probably right. You're probably right about that. Like, as far as Nexus first in a series, I think the most we've ever seen it in a series was Mini versus Rush in the finals last season. Mini ended up doing it 4 times. Of course, that's a PvT, but it kind of shows that as the game continues to develop, Protosses are really getting some of these build orders down. Like, Nexus first just seems to be the way.
Yeah, it's like, it's so cool how, oh my god, MVP drone. Look at that.
Look at him dance there, too, over the grave. That's fucked up.
He peed there, now he's leaving. This is crazy.
Oh, no!
He left little drone droplets down there. This is nuts.
Oh, man.
So
the probe rubble pile.
Yeah. So, it's funny because, like, we all know that there's build orders that we want to try to set up here to open up different opportunities, right? And you kind of look at it like, oh, he's attacking me. All right, we're going to go in this fork. But it does seem like Rain's way of playing is always, we're going to Nexus first, unless... and he's always ready to get that Nexus out immediately. And if he doesn't see anything that can stop that, he just goes right on with what is the ideal build. Where I feel like, especially players like me and probably the rest of the world, but I would say even for some of the pros, they kind of think more in the middle, right? Like, all right, well, we got to get a gateway. Maybe we get a core up before the cannon, like Mini does. But, man, Rain is just gun-ho about getting the Nexus out every time, as long as he can.
Wait, did he just get a second gateway before the core? Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, it's like... Well, hold on. Wait, did he actually? Oh, he did in the top left. You're right.
Is he just going to surprise him with, like, hey, look at all my Zealots? Like... I've never seen that.
Well, I've seen this, actually, weirdly, I saw this when Flash was playing Protoss, which I kind of looked at that and I'm like, yeah, he doesn't know what he's doing, but, so, 2 Zealots, 2 Gateways, I should say. Keep in mind that, like, a lot of times you have the few Zealots that come out on the map to scout. You'll have them sometimes hidden like these 1 or 2, but what you really want to do is try to move out with 4 and confirm that there's, no other rush. In this case, I guess he wants to kind of have a weird amount of Zealots that come out abruptly. But even now, I'm not quite sure what to think. I guess you can bank more Zealots at a weirder time of the game than one would expect, right?
It's a good way to play when people, you know it in your bones how many Lings you need at this point against a Nexus first, but with extra Zealots coming down, that's definitely something that can screw it up. Soma pulling back. Looks like Rain gonna go over and harass these eggs a little bit, kind of force those Zerglings down, and more Zealots are coming, I think.
Yeah, one is, but I don't think there's enough in the game where you would, like, necessarily catch on to what's going on, right?
Well, maybe with the... Well, now he sees 3 over here. I think at this point, Soma's gotta know, right? Like, that seems very bizarre to have this many Zealots already across the map after a Nexus first. Wild, though. That's really cool that you actually saw Flash doing this with Protoss. And like I mentioned, they are, like, really, really close friends. So that definitely could be something that's, he got from him, I guess.
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, we're not really seeing that much utility come from this. I mean, I guess these 3 Zealots are annoying, but, Zealots are kind of slow and clunky. So, like...
I guess you're forcing a lot of Lings.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of Zerglings that have been made that could have been drones.
I don't know. This is an odd one. I mean, he's going to have, again, the Citadel and then the Stargate. I'm not really sure what that accomplished. I mean, it did kind of make the Zerg make more Lings. Sure. Yeah, I don't know what to say, Artosis. That's such an odd play.
Here's my gut feeling about it. Tastosis is a non-Protoss, non-Zerg player. Is he forced a lot of Lings, so that's a lot less drones, where he's consistently producing his probes, and he slows his tech a little bit, but it's not like he's going to die to mutas, right? And he also had the potential, if Soma screwed up, to maybe get good damage there. So, like, how much did that actually cost him? Like, 500 minerals or something? Not even that much in Zealots, like he still gets to keep the gateway? I don't know exactly how good it was, but it doesn't seem like it was terrible,
Yeah, I mean, one of the big, great bits of advice for people that are not, that are struggling at improving and they don't know why is, honestly, if you're just making probes the whole time, you're really in really good shape, especially against a Zerg, because they do have to stop. They have to kind of... It's like... Protoss and Terran play with an automatic, but Zerg actually has to play with a stick as far as worker production goes.
That's actually a really good way to put it.
Yeah.
And it's like, the larvae are like more turn-based or something, where like you have to decide when you're going to use them for drones and when not, whereas you can just make build orders where you make probes and SCVs nonstop.
Yeah, this is so basically that maybe you can crank out more workers in that sense and then kind of have more momentum later on. And the way that Rain develops, he doesn't hyper commit to anything. He does get the Zealot charge, but he doesn't get enough to necessarily do anything crazy, but he comes out and makes you defend. You can't take a fourth in this moment, right? He gets more gates back behind this. He fills this up. He's got enough Corsairs that he's safe for now. In a lot of ways, it makes sense. It looks very different, and it looks very unremarkable, I think, initially, when you're watching it, because it's like a guy who doesn't have enough Zealots to kill anything. He gets a DT, but maybe he doesn't really come in there and do that much damage. He has Templars, but he's not going to move out with them. But what you see from this is that, the later pushes are extremely strong from Rain.
That has certainly been where he's been very, very strong. A lot of these very Dragoon-heavy ones where he has, 4 High Templars, and honestly not that many Zealots compared to a lot of Protosses that we watch.
Yeah. Well, there's something to that as well, because if you can't do that much with, a lot of Zealots early on, it's not actually that helpful to have a lot of Zealots later on. You know what I mean? Lurkers will be here. Dragoons, with a couple Zealots there, and just, 4 Templars, I guess, is the ideal number, maybe 5. That pretty much is what you need to fight. And so it seems like Rain kind of has this whole different philosophy on development that we just haven't quite seen before.
Mm-hmm. A lot of Hydras being fielded out. We have this little Dark Templar hiding in the bottom left. Overlord speed finishes, but he's going to try to sneak that, and he sees an Overlord.
Yeah.
So backs off for now. Maybe going to wait until an engagement to try to pull that in and hope that the attention of Soma is elsewhere. 4 High Templars sitting there waiting, and we also see that Goon range is on the way, so I think Rain going to get into his pretty standard heavy Dragoon production from here.
Yeah, and he's got, 4... No, I guess he has 8 gateways, because I keep forgetting there's that one weird one that's stuffed up in the side. And so I guess he just wants to get ready to power up and push out. And so, the Rain's build, which I'm honestly very excited to kind of mess around with, it doesn't seem to do that much right away, but it seems like it's very safe. It sets up nicely for this push that we're going to have here.
He is macroing out pretty quickly at this point, but his supply isn't that much higher than Soma's. I do feel like Soma's in a better position this game than he was in the previous ones. He's higher in supply comparatively at this point. Yeah, there's the 4 High Templars. It doesn't look like Rain is dead or necessarily behind, but I don't get that same overwhelming feeling that I kind of got before.
Yeah, I think that Soma hasn't lost control of this game because there hasn't been any kind of, real painful jabs coming in here. And I think that's, you're completely correct. I mean, Soma seems to be, in a healthier spot to where, we're going to go into mid-game, and Rain is kind of scary, but he's not that scary, right? And then staying back here. I mean, Rain decides, okay, I don't feel like I can attack either, which makes sense. Why would you attack at all when you can just take a third base and kind of let the game develop a little bit more? But Soma's doing the same thing in the mirrored position. And so when you asked me at the start of this game, Artosis, about what I thought about this map, this is kind of the game I want to watch for late game PvZ to figure out, okay, how comfortably can the Zerg and the Protoss expand? How easy are counterattacks for the Zerg? It doesn't seem like the Protoss can drop, and especially Storm drop, anywhere with ease. At least
that's a good point. Yeah, if you look where their mineral patches are, it looks like Storm drops are really hard here.
Yeah, and so I mean, it does seem like it's, definitely a map that Zerg can turtle on 4 bases, and I think a 5th is very doable. But we're going to see Rain, I think, try to push up here, and I'm a little bit worried. This seems to never fare well for anybody in any StarCraft game ever.
I don't know that you can actually push up that hill. All the missed shots. If you look at the placement from Soma, it's really, really nasty. He has it spaced back enough that you have to commit way up the ramp to have your Dragoons fire, which means they aren't really firing from the low ground in any sort of arc, so you're not going to get any good surface area engagement. So I would look at that base as Rain and just say, you know what, that's invincible, you get that one.
So Rain's going to come down, and we're at about that 170 supply push that Protosses like to do. I think +2 armor is going to finish in a second here, which should be the Q. And we got to see if Rain can basically power through this. But honestly, this looks to be pretty tough. He's got, you know, barely enough observers, but you got to watch out for things getting sniped there as well.
He's getting some great storms there. Takes down a couple of lurkers, hitting some of these hydras as well, but that's such a beautiful spread from Soma. And Rain will end up pulling back. Soma up at 154 supply. That is very, very strong indeed. And Rain going to reposition. This, I'm excited about this game because we've seen only a couple PVZs on Butter get to these types of supplies, but they ended kind of abruptly. Now, this doesn't look like Rain can kill Soma here, does it?
I mean, it certainly looks like it's going to be a lot to you know, grind through. I mean, you basically have almost 180 degrees of damage there, and it could be 360 pretty soon when the surround comes in here. So I feel like Rain may have kind of... The game may have moved past the moment where a Protoss can end this game with a push.
Oh man, these High Templars coming down, and it doesn't look like they all have energy right at the beginning here. Storm's being thrown down as Rain tries to save as many of these units as he possibly can, but definitely a good flank there from Soma, getting these supplies even closer than before.
Oh my god, hold position lurkers in this matchup too. Soma is dirty, dirty, dirty.
Yeah, those Zealots just come in and commit. He undoes the hold position and will, of course, be able to shred those out. Looks like he should be... Wait a minute. Are the Zealots still going to get this hatchery?
No, I don't think so. Oh my god, they're not close enough. Oh no.
Oh, man.
You just outgamed yourself.
It was a clever idea from Soma, but doesn't end up paying off. His 5th base going to be greatly delayed here. Rain has his 4th base up now, and look at this, Soma attacking up the hill here. His lurker's getting a bit ahead of everything, but Rain will have to pull back. It's a mostly Zealot army.
So I do feel like this is a point in the game where the Protoss is going to struggle. Rain basically set up for the push, got to the place where he wanted to push, and discovered that he couldn't make any headway at all. I mean, he stormed a couple of lurkers and then lost everything that he had. So we're probably going to have lurker tech here. And I do think that this is going to be an easier late game here for Soma. It seems like the Protoss really does try to go for one of these nearly maxed supply pushes, and it doesn't succeed. The Reaver tech is like a little bit later. We'll probably have to see shuttle speed upgraded, but then again, I mean, where exactly are you going to storm drop? And keep in mind that there are not any easy-to-expand locations on the map for Protoss anymore. The 3 remaining locations on the map, I would even say the center right, probably more likely to go to Zerg here.
You're probably right about that. And honestly, at this point, Soma has so much map control and so much macro coming in, it's starting to feel a bit hopeless for Rain. When you see his supply drop from like the 180, 190 he had down to below Soma's 150, I don't see any Protoss players really being able to fight back from this position.
Yeah, this is tough, man. I mean, there's a chance that Soma may have overextended. He basically wanted to set up for like an end game contain where you just like make endless lurkers. And when you have the opportunity, start to poke out at these other bases. But that may still end up getting set up here regardless. I mean, we're just seeing this kind of endless stream of units. Even a drone coming in here, maybe to make a hatchery. Maybe he's just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Just rallied up with everybody else.
Yeah.
He's a troop today, Tastosis.
No extra rally point in this game for you, Soma. This is StarCraft 1 and not StarCraft 2. So, yeah, the drone will just end up there. So, you know, maybe a pretty galling overextension from Soma, all things considered. I mean, if there was one way Protoss could be back into this game, it would be there.
Even if Rain can kind of remass up and get a good fighting army, though, with the Defiler Mound out and Rain not really getting more upgrades or anything, it seems daunting to not only hold your ground, but be able to push in or expand again as Protoss.
Yeah, well, once lurkers come in, and I'm sure that we're going to see Defilers soon. Whoa, what's happening at this base in the bottom left? I guess we're not going to get it on camera. I think there's a drop or something there.
Must have been.
I don't know what happened.
He cleaned
There
up
was
whatever it was.
yeah, some purple something down there from Protoss. But, yeah, I mean, it gets hard once Defilers are here, and I don't see any indications of the Reaver tech, which is sort of the endgame tech. It's funny because it sounds easier to get than it is when you've really committed to pushing like this. But usually you see 3 Robos total, 1 making a shuttle, 2 making Reavers, and that's how you can start to take fights.
I don't think we've seen any added Robos as of yet. And honestly, I don't think his supply is really there. Maybe if he gets 1 more base. But, yeah, he's mining from, like, 2 bases right now. And I think it's pretty critical that he actually gets another mining base up pretty quickly here if he wants to actually stay in this game.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I mean, he can hang on. You can hang on 4 bases for a long time, but you do need to get a 5th up. Basically, you power on 2 bases until they're almost mined out, and then you, like, kind of like when Indiana Jones moved that 1 pouch that was worth nothing and replaced that with the pouch of, like, whatever the treasure was. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The statue with the pouch of rocks or something? That's what you do with your probes to your next 2 bases, is you, like, swap them off so the game keeps on going.
Yeah, that's super sneaky. That's almost like a James Bond game.
James Bond
I
move.
like that move.
It's an Indiana Jones Bond move.
Yeah.
So he hasn't, you know, he's basically just trying to continue to match the Zerg. In this moment where the Zerg has a tempo advantage, the Zerg can both take fights and grow. And I mean, that's all clear with what's happening on screen here. Even when we see Protoss win some of these fights, you see the Zerg, you know, the next wave or 2 comes and pushes it back once more. Now, he hasn't lost any bases, but we should just keep one eye checking the center right for Protoss, the one that's just above the screenshot here, because if there's not a Reaver over in that spot, a Dark Swarm and Lings or Lurkers are going to come in there, and that base is going to disappear, and then Protoss is on 3 bases, and it's not sustainable. So he didn't get 3 Robos, but he has quietly made 2 Reavers and a shuttle. And maybe there's something to this with Rain. Maybe the hard tech in a Reaver Rain knows so well is maybe just not, you know, mathematically doable. It's not an, you know, an economic balancing act that can even actually happen without the Zerg overrunning him. So 2 Reavers and then a shuttle comes up. And
that could be it, because his money is not that high, so that would kind of make sense to just increment it out for now. But with Soma getting another base, like, even some of these attacks Soma's doing are really kind of wasteful, but it doesn't seem to matter. He's keeping up with the same supply as Rain, and he's growing. Rain is not.
Yeah. And, I mean, you know, it's kind of crazy. Like, Rain basically, like, I don't know, he, like, you know, die-harded his way through this. Like we talk about, you know, Bruce Willis, like, being the best actor that can, you know, basically almost bleed to death for a whole movie. You know, this is like him getting beaten up by the bad guy, but he's not done yet. And maybe with the Reaver out, he can start to actually come back here, because, you know, he's pushed out now. And look, once the Reaver's here, which it is, oh, dude, he's crazy. What? Is he just going to go for this?
I don't know what this is all about. Like, this base is not breakable. We already talked about that.
Yeah.
You and I already decided that he should not attack that base. So he should stand by what we have decided here. The Reavers get dropped out. He's trying to move forward and get something done.
Well,
like, this is a good anti-Dark Swarm army.
Well, you know what's crazy about it is that he went around what was the contain area that I think Soma thought he would be hit by, and so he's come into a position where he can basically take a pretty good fight. As long as he keeps the Reavers protected. He's trying to do that. And the Lurkers had to burrow in the middle of the fight, so the Hydras die, then the Lurkers die. Now, that being said, dude, it's super close, okay? But watch the supplies carefully, because Rain is kind of sustaining here. He's making Templars, he's making Zealots, and he's gotten over the rally point, which we don't really talk about this, I think, in our cast that much, but that's actually a really big deal, because you can basically push... You think of how many hatcheries the Zerg has and how many rally points are all over the map, how many units are just going to run through, you know, Zealots and Archons. He's now coming here. If he can come inside the heart of the Zerg's base and kill the tech. Oh my god, that storm was insane.
Oh, yeah, it really was just craziness. And the Archon's starting to kill a bunch of hatches down here. if Rain wins this Tasteless, he's the greatest gamer.
He is the gamer
it's just,
in chief.
It's over. I can't even believe that he has taken this position, run around everything, gotten on top of the rallies, as you say, and is starting to make this difficult for Soma. He's up 30 supply plus now.
He might be the CEO of gaming, man. If he wins this, this is crazy. He basically just went around the contain, knew that it's a vulnerable spot, and again, this is a thing that's unique to Brood War, is that rally points matter anymore because they can't just be reset with a click. And so it's hard for Soma to get everything else that's coming out of these hatcheries over here in time. This is something that's very different from Brood War from StarCraft 2, where, like, in a game of StarCraft 2, they push in, but eventually all the units that need to be there go where they need to be. This is a moment of chaos. This is a moment of panic. Rain has found an opportunity inside of the chaos. He's going to kill the pool, which means no more wings, which are... Oh, my God!
Oh, those storms blocking that choke. Rain is out of control. He's going to do a drop over here into the freshest base of so many storms. 1,000,000 drones. What am I even looking at?
He's got another Templar inside. He's got 2. What is happening? Okay, so I think that Protoss should win this, but Zerg still can win this. So the tech's been reset. I don't see a layer started anywhere else. I mean, this is, Observer's got to, get a bonus for this observing mission. This is going to be one of the harder games to follow. The Protoss is almost mined out, mind you. Protoss is low on gas, where Zerg is high. Zerg is low on minerals, whereas Protoss has a lot. So, basically he can make a den and keep making lurkers and turtle, but of course a shuttle and a reaver can respond to that, right? So, like, I don't know, man. This is wild. It seems like Rain's next goal is to basically come out and take this center right base because he needs to have... Wait, no way. Is he just going to do this?
Oh, I think you still just let him have that base. That base is forever.
Man.
Soma will end up winning if he just doesn't leave the game because that base is unbreakable with those 3 sunks. But look, Rain right now, you're right, he's almost out, but can't he just gather his units up and go kill these other bases if he has a couple observers? There's like only a few lurkers left.
I think he should expand. Honestly, I think that expanding's more important than killing him.
You're probably right, actually. A lot of people try to finish when the right play is just to reinforce your economy.
Yeah, it's a lot of minerals for Rain, so the problem with that is that, lurkers don't care about zealots. They're basically Marines that last a few extra shots. And since they're melee units, they're just not going to get to where they need to be. So I think that Rain needs to chill, probably make, a Nexus defend and make shuttles and keep pelting them with storms. I don't think there's a Spire, by the way, which means storms are just, like, the most dangerous thing in the game, right?
Yeah, I guess. He does have a shuttle coming out. Does he have the High Templars in there? Like, maybe he does just go storm drops for the rest of the time now.
Reaver drops are fine,
make
too.
Sense.
I mean, anything that is a drop is okay, because without a Spire, a speed shuttle is a Zerg's worst nightmare.
Mm-hmm. Just flies by everything. The Hydra's trying to catch this. Oh, boy. Decent dodging from Soma on the drones. Oh, God, but there was a 3rd storm. Just kills, like, every single drone here. Soma somehow holding on. Rain is out of mineral patches. He is not mining.
Okay, so then it's all going to come down to this base on the, the center left. Again, you got to think of those zealots that were killed back there. They would have been much better served defending. So this is it. If Soma can break through this spot, and then move to the left where the probes are going, right over here, this game ends. Now, a Reaver is extremely handy in this moment, but I think the Zerg might actually just have enough to kind of overpower this. But let's see.
Well, some good storms go down. He has the Archons in a nice little arc here. hits off a single Scarab there. I'd love if he still has the shuttle to bring it back here and help micro these Reavers a little bit, because it seems like the Reavers can really make the difference here. It's so hard to push Lurkers against them.
Well, the problem for the Zerg is it's hard to advance with all the Lurkers. And so he's trying to come in here and snipe. Oh my god, this is such a crazy game.
It is one of the craziest games that we've had, truly. And another shuttle comes up. Oh, is he going to save the Reaver? He does, as the Hydra's trying to jump on it. The shuttle almost gets picked off, but he lets it out and saves the shuttle as well.
Kills the Hydralisk as well, too, here.
Oh my god. He finally does get the kill on the shuttle as well as the Reaver. And now it's just like mostly Archons fighting against Hydra Lurker, which just doesn't go well. Even the probes coming up to tank. He's using probes to tank for Archons. First time this has ever happened.
I can't believe this. There's an OBS over here. I think that even though Rain had one of the most impressive runs in this game, I think this is over. I mean,
another few storms to go. Can he hold on? I think you're actually right. The storms are fantastic. He kills the Lurkers there, but the 8 Hydras remaining as well as 1 Lurker will easily destroy this cannon. The probes trying to get out of here. No, not even. They're going to stand and fight because Rain doesn't have anything left. And Soma takes the map, but it was so close to Rain coming back in a game that I did not think that was possible in.
We literally saw like Soma shaking there. Like it was so crazy. I mean, you know, what a game, man. I mean, that was just wild. Wow. I can't believe how good that game was. I can't believe how well Rain played. I feel like just looking at this, he has to win the series, even though like Soma won that last game, which means he's actually started a comeback. I think it's the only time I've ever casted a game where I saw one player win, and I was more confident than ever that the other guy was going to take the whole series.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that. Like, Rain was actually more impressive, I think, than Soma there, because that looked terrible for him forever, and that was within the last couple units to decide who was going to end up winning there. Absolute madness. One of the best games this season, if not the best.
Guys, short break, and when we return, we're going to go to game number 4 with Rain versus Soma.
결정의 신 hen기입니다. 오늘은 어떤 분이 또 인생의 해답을 찾고 싶어서 저를 찾아오실지 궁금하시죠? 모셔보겠습니다.
안녕하세요. 여기가 그 용하다는 현경도사 점집인가요?
뭐야, 연기 뭐야?
이렇게 하는 것 같은데? 아니, 이거 아닌가?
3대0 4강 진출자!
최재 미친 경기력을 선보이면서 박상현 선수가 지난시 복수하고
완벽한 또 스토리를 만든 우리 박상현 선수가 찾아오셨는데 자네는 무엇이 궁금해서 나를 찾아왔는가?
제가 지금 몸무게가 100kg인데 제가 원래 몸무게가 80kg거든요. 80kg까지 제가 다시 뺄 수 있을지 그게 너무 궁금합니다.
시즌 7 때 80kg였어요?
BJ 하기 전에.
야! 퀵퀵 묵은 방법들을 과감히 버려라. 그게 다 앉아만 있으면서 살이 빠지길 바라는 그런 퀵퀵 묵은 방법들을 과감히 버려라. 일어나서 운동해라. 그런 점괘가 나왔습니다.
운동을 하면 빠진다?
운동을 하면 빠진다.
예.
어떤 신선한 방법들을 하실 건지 계획을 말씀해주세요.
원래 일어나면은 핸드폰 1시간 정도 해주고 늦지막히 일어났는데 이제 일어나자마자 밖에 나가서 달리기를 해보겠습니다.
오, 지키지 않을 약속. 자, 그럼 다음 버킷리스트 한번 들어볼까요?
제가 그래서 사실 지금 몸이 안 좋아요, 요새. 그래서 건강검진을 제가 받아야 되는데 바빠가지고 시간이 안 나요. 제가 갈 수 있을까? 건강검진 받으러?
야! 동요가 것이다. 건강검진을 받지 않으면 박상현의 몸속에 동요가 것이다. 건강검진을 꼭 받아야 한다. 라는 점괘가 나왔습니다.
알겠습니다. 꼭 받겠습니다.
자, 건강검진 결과가 어떨지 본인이 한번 받아보시죠.
아니, 소사님이 해주세요.
제가
예.
이거 좀 부담스러운데? 예! 당신 앞에 장애물을 극복하라. 이게 제가 해석을 해드릴게요. 당신 앞에 장애물보다 지금 다이어트다. 다이어트를 해내면 건강에 아무 문제가 없을 것이다. 자, 그러면 다음 버킷리스트 박다현 선수 한번 들어볼까요?
제가 제주도 여행을 여자친구랑 가야 되는데 제가 시간이 안 나요. 고민입니다.
야! 시간 낭비하지 마라. 지금 여행 생각이 지금 머릿속에 뒤집을 그럴 여유가 있느냐? 머릿속에 온통 경기 생각만 해야지.
요만해요.
그런?
신기하네.
나왔습니다.
예, 알겠습니다.
네. 여자친구에게 좀 사죄의 말을 해주셔야 될 것 같아요.
환자 이렇게 나온 걸 어떡하겠어. 제주도 가고 싶어하는 건 알겠는데 못 갈 것 같다. 미안하다. 현경 조사님을 원망해.
시즌 끝나고 가자.
ASL 우승하고 호화로운 여행 같이 가자. 사랑한다.
또 궁금한 게 뭐가 있을까?
제가 이번 시즌에 우승할지 못할지 그게 너무 궁금합니다.
우승! 일단 하고 싶은 게 우승인 거죠?
예.
야! 다른 상황으로 이어지는 중요한 연결고리가 있다. 이게 사실 이 다른 상황이라 함은 유영진과의 8강 리매치였습니다. 졌으면 우승을 못하는 거예요. 여기서 이겼기 때문에 이게 중요한 연결고리가 된 거죠. 우승으로 이어지는 테란전 다전제를 극복을 해냈기 때문에 우승으로 가는 굉장히 중요한 연결고리가 잘 이어졌다.
오, 이야, 대단하시네요.
우승을 향한 이 박상현 선수의 궁금함은 좀 이것으로 해결이 될 것 같고, 이번에는 본인의 답을 직접 한번 찾아보는 시간을 갖겠습니다. 정윤종 선수가 4강 상대가 됐을 때 과연 박상현 선수의 운명은?
오! 최선의 결정을 내리기 위해서는 침착해라.
무슨 뜻일까요?
이거는 뭐 너무 쉽죠. 그냥 침착하게만 하면 이긴다. 이렇게 해석할 수 있을 것 같습니다.
이길 수 있다. 긴장만 안 하면 이길 수 있다. 자, 이렇게 박상현 선수와 함께 좀 즐거운 시간을 보내봤는데 시드권을 일단 획득을 하셨어요. 각오를 좀 들어보고 싶습니다.
오프라인 토스전 승률 80%이기 때문에 절대 안 질 것 같고요. 제가 유리한 싸움이 될 것 같습니다. 무조건 결승 가겠습니다.
기대하겠습니다.
감사합니다.
Welcome back, everybody. This has been such an insane series so far, and we might not even be halfway done. Okay? That's how nuts this is.
Wow. It feels like we're more than halfway done, if I can be honest, because it does feel like Rain is just playing better than Soma here today. He looks like he's a bit stronger.
It's crazy because basically Soma got into position, and I don't think I'm alone in my analysis of this. I think a lot of people thought this was over, and then Rain had this crazy moment where he pierced right through all the, on top of the rally points and then into the main, and I think that he played a little bit more conservatively after that. Who knows, we might even still be in the game, or maybe Rain wins, but Rain looks terrifying. Soma gets control of that last game and then barely hangs on at the very end, but a stark reminder to Soma that if you get into a game where Rain has all the tech and is playing by his own rules, he's very, very, very hard to stop.
알레그로에서 게임을 시작합니다.
In the top left, we have Rain. And in the bottom right, we have Soma. And in the chair watching this, we have the viewer, who may or may not be supporting on the Patreon. Guys, thank you so much to those of you who are supporting us on the ASL Patreon. That's patreon.com/ASL English. If you would like to support these broadcasts, you really love the ASL like we do, check it out. Because it is the greatest tournament on earth, man. Like, I mean, you're watching these games, and we are seeing brand new stuff get invented still. This game just turned 24 years old. And out of every video game, Tasteless, there's very few that I'm sure are going to live forever. It's like Counter-Strike and StarCraft, and that's about it.
Yeah, Smash Melee.
Yeah.
They still play Street Fighter 2, and certain iterations of Street Fighter are more popular than others. But I mean, this is, StarCraft 2 is goated, and if you support us on Patreon, you are goated as well. It really does make a huge difference. So maybe you're one of the people that keeps watching this and going, yeah, I'll do that. And then you get on Patreon, you're like, oh, I got to log in and make an account. Look, we can give you that extra push. A little bit of support really does go a long way to support not just Tastosis and me, but the people that help produce this entire segment. That includes the video editing, the sound editing, translations, all that.
So that all being said, we finally have from Rain a non-Nexus first. This is a gateway. What do you have to say about that, Tasteless?
Well, I mean, I was talking about this before Game 3 started, but we needed to get a game where, Rain didn't get to scout and just throw a Nexus down right away and kind of do his macro dance and get everything out as quickly as possible. And this is going to be that game. Now, that being said, when you go gateway opening, you literally can't go Nexus first because you haven't scouted them to see that you could do that. But this is going to be an opening, and there may be exceptions depending on how the ebb and flow of it goes. And by the way, there's a lot of ebb and flow that can happen in gate first versus a Zerg. So we'll watch for that. But this is going to be a game that's more grounded in, nobody cutting corners right away, at least not in the initial few structures to start out.
Well, the Nexus does come up with a single Zealot walking across the map. It was a hatchery first from Soma, so... I mean, I would say that build order-wise, Soma has to be pretty happy with this situation compared to the last couple games, right?
I think so, yeah. I mean, it does seem like... he's going to come down with that Zealot and say, you know what, I can't do anything cross-spawns. He's just going to back up. Let's watch and see how long the probe stays alive, too, here, because Soma loves to get rid of these probes right away and either tech immediately or go for some kind of aggression. And, Hydra busts, I think, are still viable even in cross-spawns. I mean, it's just such a strong build.
Ooh! That would be interesting if he actually goes for the Hydra bust here. There are more Lings being made, so... Maybe just mass slow Zerglings? Try to knock the gateway down?
You could. I mean,
is this good, though?
I mean, look, the thing is, it can be. Because, the big feature of a build like this is it gives the Protoss more options, but the problem is that, your cannon's later, and Lings are, just more nimble than Zealots. So they can do more stuff. For instance, surround this Zealot over here. That's pretty big, by the way. What is he doing? It's like aim moving.
He's trying to kill these. Yeah, it's a little bit weird. He got the surround on one Zealot, and then he kind of had damage on two of those, and then another one pops out. It doesn't seem like this is going super well for Soma here.
Yeah, I would agree with what you said, Tastosis. That's... I don't know. I mean, this is just sort of an odd opening here. I mean, it's can be tough for the Protoss, but you're looking at what Rain's doing, and he's like, yeah, no, I'm going to leave all my Zealots alive in this game. Oh.
Okay, he finally does lose that one. He's got 3 Plagued Zealots right now.
3 Plagued Zealots? You're so funny. Yeah.
He just barely saves them. Sometimes I look at that, and I almost feel like the newbie BGHer in me is thinking to myself, that's worse than it dying, because now it's going to die in the big battle so quickly. I'm sure you must have had these moments when you were a newbie where you're your Protoss units get wicked damage, and you're like, well, damn, man, I want full health carriers. This sucks.
Oh, no, for sure. It's you're not looking at the game right. I look at that moment, I'm like, this is how I know that Protoss is the weakest, is the health points won't come back now. Yeah, it's a funny moment, but again, kind of an odd situation there where like Soma committed to those zealots and didn't really get that much from it, and now we've got 2 full health zealots coming out. As I think Rain is basically trying to see, okay, how much more damage can I do to this guy? Remember, every pair of lings you see is a set of, one drone that was not made in this game, and that's what's so important.
Well, he's definitely prevented a lot of those, and Soma, honestly, on his own, prevented a lot of those. He's the one that decided to make so many slowlings in the beginning. Now having to make a lot of fastlings here, trying to... Oh my god, he loses another drone there, but trying to clean up these zealots as well. I have to say, like, this looks good for Rain once again. Not that this is like a game-ending thing that we just watched, but I feel like he's just... Everything that occurs, he's like a little bit better for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of an unremarkable early game from Soma, and that terrifies me for Soma's sake because Rain has had such clean games so far. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, Rain gets into positions where, he just has so much power behind him that, the mid-game for this should be interesting, but again, I mean, I just don't feel like Soma has done anything that's, gonna get him into even an even position right now. We've got the Den coming. It's scouted by the Corsair. Ooh, good interception. That actually is pretty big, sniping the one Corsair.
Okay, so let me just throw this out there, this crazy thought that I'm having. That might end up being good for Rain losing the Corsair, because a lot of times when a Corsair goes down, we see the Zerg player commit to mutas, but this happens to be double Stargate from Rain.
Right.
So wouldn't the best possible situation for him involve Soma going mutas?
Yeah.
So would it ever make sense to lose your Corsair, like, quote-unquote, accidentally in this situation?
I mean... If StarCraft is Ocean's 11, like, maybe, but I don't
well,
think
so. I'm fairly certain Protoss is Ocean's 12, okay?
I mean, I don't know if we're at the point where, like, you'd want to lose a Corsair, because, I mean, they don't have to go mutas, right? But in this case, he's going for it. Maybe you are the smartest man in the whole world. I don't know. I mean, I see 2 mutas out here. The problem now is that if they commit to mutas, this is kind of like a super hard counter to what they're doing. I mean, you're just going to get hit so hard. By the way, that little cannon placement there to be in front of the Nexus is very intentional because the Scourge can't scout that other Stargate. Just a kind of subtle thing to note.
He also has the Citadel there, so it looks more normal too, I think. Because you're like, there's the Citadel.
That's a good point.
Cool. Like, I know everything. Well, but there are the mutas, Tasteless, and here come the Corsairs.
I've got so much to say about the way that Rain is playing the series, but I want to wait until after the action here because I want to see how these Corsairs do. They've targeted down the mutas. The Scourge are going to come in here for the flank, and they do eat a bit of damage. He could use hold position to try to flick him and get the rest of those, but he's not going to. He's going to send this all the way back. The Zealots are going to go down, and here's what I wanted to say, and I know that we have StarCraft 2 people that don't play StarCraft 1, but watch this. We also have StarCraft 1 people that don't play StarCraft 2 that watch this as well. And so, Rain is actually playing this series more like a StarCraft 2 series, where the builds are going to complement each other. On the surface, this build looks exactly like what Rain had done in the other games, in certain ways, right? Gets Zealot legs, doesn't have a lot of Zealots, has Corsairs, Templar tech delayed this time, double Stargate. And it's like, what he did in the other games almost makes this build work better as a surprise Corsair tech build.
Oh, okay. Oh my god. Shredding some mutas here, and with the Archon coming forward, it's going to be very hard to actually connect. The Archon, of course, can shoot down the Scourge as they fly over. Well, not that time.
Oh, no. Yeah, this kind of messes up the whole attack here because you could chase the Corsairs away. Soma's committed onto this.
He has so many Scourge. Like, this is kind of wild. It's a bit batty to have that many Scourge out. It's like 20 Scourge flying around right now. If Rain was Protoss and accidentally lifted his command centers, he might lose the game.
I mean, this is kind of a nutty game. It's going to be the Hydra tech that you want to watch out for. When you see this Muta tech here, now, first of all, Rain's been very diligent about keeping the Corsairs safe. He's kind of like checked on what he needs to check on. You can lose... Oh, well, that's actually kind of a lot. But
wow.
I was going to say, you know, a second ago, a fraction of a second ago, he was kind of okay.
Wow, the Scourge control from Soma has been pretty immaculate here. I'm really surprised with how well he's doing against 2 Stargate Corsair.
Oh, he's going to come in now. I don't know if he has a Storm available, or he might not want to try to spend it yet. Well, I mean, I don't know
would have
if
been better than that, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's funny, because if you're watching and thinking, why wouldn't he just Storm it? The Storm is only for the Hydras. I mean, you can do it on Mutas, but if you're going to lose the game, it's because you didn't Storm Hydras. So he's going to push, but I don't see an Observer, Artosis, do you?
No, certainly not. Like, he spent so much gas on all those Corsairs, the double Stargate tech, now some Archons. You see a DT in here that's not really helping out either.
This really
this
shows
game
you...
looks more like the PvZ I love, Tasteless.
Yeah, this looks like
Zerg is like, I am dominating you in all ways.
Yeah, this you said the PvZ you love. This is the PvZ that I lose, man. These are my experiences of the matchup. So, yeah, you know, it can be scary to fight against the mass Corsairs, but you got to remember, all that gas went into Corsairs, and that's why there's not many Templars. And now, later on, Lurker Contains are a real threat, dude.
He's coming up with the push. The DT is doing some serious work against this, but it's so little against the amount of damage coming in through his wall. Everything getting knocked down, and Rain is just going to GG, and just like that, Soma takes another map.
That was wild. Great play here from Soma. He stayed extremely patient. I think there was a bit of an overcommitment at certain moments with the Zealots on the ground. I think Rain, definitely his worst game. Soma had a rocky start and really stabilized there. I love when he cut the Corsairs off from the rest of the group. You know, sniping the Templars was oh so important, but it's tough, man. You know, he made a lot of Scourge and didn't make a lot of Mutas. That's a very important thing to note. A lot of times you see a lot of Scourge, you might think they're all in with the Mutas. There were like 5 Mutas, enough to snipe Templars. That's it. So, I mean, a real balancing act, a bit of a high wire act even, you know, from Soma kind of fending off everything, and what I thought was a pretty graceful start here from Rain. Soma ties it up 2-2, effectively making the rest of this a best of 3 now.
That's kind of crazy to think about, because the other games were like pretty intense, and it looked very good for Rain. Honestly, the beginning of the game looked pretty good for Rain. The double Stargate Corsair didn't end up paying off against the Muta Scourge. Like, do you think he should have done one of those like flick shots where you try to actually take the Scourge out? Because it felt like he maybe missed his timing there, and the Scourge fleet just pushed him back too many times.
I'm not sure. That's how a lot of my losses look if I try that. So, I mean, it's tough. I think there is something to be said about why, you know, it's why we don't see double Stargate all the time. There are actual problems that present themselves later on in situations like that. And you know, I think he tried to throw him off, and it looked like it was going to work on paper, but Soma's very crafty. We're going to go to Eclipse now for game number 5, as we are past the halfway point here. This was Rain's pick. It's going to be possibly a lot of control play about expansions early on. We've also seen some very inventive strats in PvZ, specifically from Protoss, because this is the most played map right now for pros and for plebs.
전투 준비 완료.
Is it pleasing to me that it's seeking for you? Tell them the story, tell them the truth. Is it pleasing to me that it's seeking for you?
이클립스에서 게임을 시작합니다.
So in the top right, we have Rain. And in the bottom left, we have Soma. Yeah, this is definitely, like you said, a map that can be so heavily planned out. Of course, we did see that legendary game from Mini against Queen here, where, like, he planned it out so ridiculously far. He was actually like Harry Seldon from Foundation series, man. Like, he saw into the future and was unbelievable. And, like, we could see something like that from Rain, but I don't feel like that's as much his style, right?
Yeah, you know, it's funny. You know, Protoss, when I picked the race, like, because I messed around with random a little bit, like, I could kind of fake it with all the races. I guess everybody can if this game's been out for this long, but, like, I always thought Protoss was so fun because there were so many different ways you could, like, open up, you know? Mm-hmm. But it really shows you a lot about the inner workings of the mind of the player. Like, Rain is very much, he orbits the fast expand builds, right? And it's also, you know, like, we have Forge first this time, and it's actually going to be a direct probe scout, but, you know, he's very into this, you know, gateway expand, Forge expand, and if he can, Nexus expand, where, like, you look at Mini, and it's like, he does fast expand, but then there's all this weird corner cutting, like, with the core early, you know, sometimes surprisingly fast techs. He likes to 2-gate sometimes, or 1-base. But, yeah, Rain's such a different PvZer than, I think, the other most celebrated Protoss, you know, going into this year, who is Mini.
Well, look at this. This is actually straight up a 9-pool.
So
I guess with that straight probe scout, he's got to know that something's up. He's actually going to check the third base, but do you need 1 cannon or 2 cannons here?
So if it's 6 slings, in a perfect world, you need more than 1. But, like, you know, Brood War is kind of funny because it's hard to sometimes. How do I put this? Things can be over microed to the point where, like, it'll work no matter what. But, like, 1 cannon, it's a little dicey.
Okay. Does he pull some probes, you think? Just throw it on the gateway and use 1 probe for blocking, or?
I think he's going to pull 2 probes, so this is it.
Okay, yeah.
So he's gonna cut it a little bit tight here. A note that this is where they can get through the bottom. He's actually having the probe attack the Forge because he doesn't want it to be nudged. And that works. But you don't have, you know, these probes mining.
Looks like a very solid hold. And the attack, guys, just so you know, there's nothing, like, hold position is not on the probe command card, nor the SCV or drone, so you have to select workers with an army unit to get a hold position.
Yeah.
Of course, Zerg starts with an Overlord, so they can always do it, but for Protoss, you can just attack. It's not like you're going to lose the pylon or the Forge or anything, and that'll keep them right there.
Although, wouldn't it be epic if Rain killed his pylon and lost the game? I mean, that might be the greatest moment in the history of the whole game. If that was how it would do. You just see it blow up, and his jaw just drops, like, no!
It would still be less of an error than when Bingsu killed the Overlords and sacrificed like 12 Corsairs to kill 2 Overlords.
But not as big of an error when the map Sparkle or Mini sent a shuttle and a Reaver across the map, and a Corsair followed it and the whole way and killed it.
Yes. He, like, picked up the Reaver. He's like, this can make it. It's like, it absolutely cannot. No, it cannot. Yeah, that was funny.
That might have been like one of the most humiliating moments in all of StarCraft. So the probe is just here, guys. He's just hanging out in the main. You know, Soma's tried to generate threats. I think, you know, Rain really handled this with a lot of grace. Kind of saw what was happening, but it's a little awkward for Soma. I mean, you kind of want to make that probe work to scout. You know, when you can just skate through the natural in the main and see the layer and watch the drones hatch, you're going to be extremely confident that you can continue with your production.
Yeah, I guess you should put some effort. I get surprised sometimes when it just sits, but I guess keeping the Lings up near the wall, 2 of the probes were sitting on that wall the whole time, so there was lost mining time in there.
Right.
But it seems like you might gain more just by zoning the probe out of certain areas, right? Where they're like, oh, damn, is there a Hydra Den? You know?
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, there's very few moments you want them to see stuff. By the way, Hydra Den coming down. And this could be an extremely Soma moment here. If this Zealot gets up here and scouts it, that is.
Oh, a couple speedlings go to the ramp with this drone. Another Zealot hits the third base.
So, to what I was going to say earlier, I think if I'm the Protoss, I think that there is a Spire coming. Does that make sense?
100%, yeah.
And
that's the most common with the layer. It's much less common to go Den with a layer.
Yeah. And if he blocks this, and I mean, again, this is like one of the greatest circles of all time. You're not that shocked when a drone blocks that, and it kind of looks like an organic block anyways, but you could just go for a delayed Hydra bust. Or go
that
for
would
some
be kind of interesting if he actually tries that here.
And I might be wrong. I mean, I'm trying to follow Soma as close as I can, but let's see how many Hydras start to come out. Or in fact, it could just be, he wanted to not put the den out there because of that. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading into this too much.
Well, I think hiding it is always better than not hiding it. But do you think that this is more likely for Overlord speed quickly, or is he going to be looking for like a Hydra Lurker contain? Because Hydra Lurker contains are really strong on this map. Remember some of those games we saw played like by Gamo and whatnot?
Yeah.
Where it looked so difficult to break out of here.
You might be right, Artosis. I mean, this map has been pretty figured out. And look, Lurker contains, they've always been strong, and it certainly has been the case at the start of 2022. And yeah, I guess he might have just wanted to go for kind of a ground game here. I do worry a little bit for Soma if he's going to do this, and it looks like he probably is, by the way, which you were saying he might do. Just because Rain does seem to really flourish if drops are available, and drops are always stronger if there's not Spire Tech, because the shuttle can just retreat from anything that is going to be a threat. By the way, these Corsairs are starting to actually stack up crazy kills here.
I'm actually very surprised how many kills they got. I want the observer to click. Okay, 1 on that one. I think he's actually killed like 3 Overlords already. Yeah, 3 right there between those two. And then that other one, I believe, is a brand new one. But 3 Overlords. That seems like a lot for this early?
Yeah. I mean, it seems like it's almost like that just should never happen,
4.
right? I mean, 3 kills?
It's 4 now. It's actually 4.
Kills.
The other Corsair did get 1. Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, Artosis, you're completely correct. That is quite a bit. Now, the SimCities seem to be so good nowadays that the Zealots are going to have a tough time getting in here. You get these little pockets where you can fill them up with Hydralisks, and then there's a sunken colony somewhere that just can't, be touched efficiently without drones protecting it. And so, it's going to be kind of a quiet game besides those surprising, Overlord kills. But from here, Drain basically just wants to power up.
We don't see Dragoon range yet, but he is getting a Robo, so I guess drops are going to be available. Although, what I'm kind of looking forward to is watching Rain try to break out from this. If it is going to turn into the big Hydra Lurker contain, is Rain going to actually be able to field a large enough army to come out of his little tiny choke here and take control and be able to get his own third base, for instance?
Yeah, I mean, let's see. I mean, that's going to be kind of the big question for the whole game, Rain, not contained right now, can, comfortably set up for a push. I love the way that Rain's developing, by the way. Just 4 Templars, not too many Zealots, and then, the rest of the money comes out, all going to be Dragoons.
Yeah, that's... Actually, now that you say that, that is right. He, always has 4 High Templars with his, mass goons, and he always has more goons than anyone else and less Zealots. So it's he's figured out that this is the number or something.
Yeah, and I mean, that's not the newest thing that 4 is the number, but to just get 4 right away and kind of sit back and later on get that, and it's going to be a drop. And I think this is actually him kind of realizing, there's no Spire here. He makes an extra 4th Templar for the main army. He needs the DT in the bottom right because that just is a position you can't let the Zerg get, or it becomes a nightmare of a positional game. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Oh. So it's 1 High Templar, 1 Dark Templar, and 2 Zealots in there. The Corsairs flying around. Obviously, they already cleared the Overlords out of that flight path, so, like, Soma doesn't know that this is coming, but he does have some defensive units and a Sunken back there.
Yeah, you've got that right. By the way, the Zealots, if they can actually target down... Oh! Okay, this is crazy. The Storm is so good! He's got enough for one more!
Oh, he's looking for a good one. A DT goes into the main base right now. The other High Templar just kind of waiting with his additional storm. It looks like Soma's going to come down and try to clean that up. Does end up storming the 3 gas drones. And it seems like it was an alright drop, right?
Damn, and even Rain's going to win the fight over here against these Hydras. How crazy is this?
Oh my god. Is there anything he can't do?
It's kind of crazy, isn't it? I mean, he's really just so in control of the game. Now he's got his main army, and I don't know. I mean, look, let's see how Rain approaches this. A lot of times when I play, I feel like I can't push and win here, but a lot of drones were killed. I mean, that drop is basically set up to trip up the Zerg's, whole production cycle, and then a push comes out and tries to generate threats, but he might want to take a third base first. Let's see.
Yeah, I was going to say, if he pushes and it doesn't kill Soma, his third base is going to be so late. I think he has to take a third here, but he should, like, pressure while doing so, right? Like, walk out here, see if Soma walks into some storm, see what he can pick off. But yeah, that third Nexus, I'm really nervous for him if he doesn't put it down right now.
Yeah, well, if he doesn't put it down, then this push has to work. There's not a lot of outs here. So he's going to have the setup here. He's going to have everything on hold position. And then the Dragoons and the Templars are going to move in. I guess he's even going to have these... Oh! The Observer's barely alive. Oh, my God! He gets sniped, but he has 2 in the pocket, ready to come in here and resume.
I love it. He hid those ones further back, Tasteless, so the dive really didn't help. And now he's just plowing through everything. Oh my god, where are Soma's units? Okay, they're up at the 4th base. They are starting to come down, but the Dragoons are starting to kill a ton of Overlords here as well.
Yeah, and there's not really a lot of defense over here. He's going to drop a Templar.
Ooh.
That Templar was pretty important, man. Could have done a lot with an extra storm from that. It looks like there's going to be at least one more storm coming in here.
That one he lost was actually full energy as well, so it had 2 storms in its pocket. Unfortunate that he lost that, but he's still breaking through. He kills that entire army that comes down, even without that high energy High Templar, and now just a flood of Zealots to help him possibly take the game right now.
Yeah, I mean, he just seemed... That's it. I mean, he just wins with a push. He bashes down the entry. And another amazing performance. I mean, Rain just sort of not worried about a third base, not worried about a long game. Maybe that's the way you should be playing PvZ on this map. Zerg can expand a lot. They can get very out of hand. And maybe, the proper approach is to try to, set up a push and end this before Zerg can really start it.
Just masterfully played here once again, and it's so weird to see Soma outclassed in this matchup. He's been so deadly in it. But Rain... there's nothing quite like this, honestly. He really right now feels like a Protoss version of Flash.
Yeah, he certainly does. Like, he just seems to have the build so optimized. And I think a lot of it did come down to this drop here. By the way, I think he stopped the hatchery. So watch this. He got, 4 drones? Oh, I think that was
5
actually
maybe?
5. And then he got 3 more with the next drop. But then he, kamikaze the DT and and so all in all, this is probably 10 workers, 10 or 11 workers, and he delayed the other hatchery. So I don't know if that push succeeds the same way if Rain doesn't come in there with surgical precision and really hurt the Zerg, because there was moments it looked like maybe the Zerg could hang on, and then he couldn't.
Yeah. And don't forget, right at that same time, he canceled the 4th and killed a bunch of Hydras in the top left. he was doing absolutely everything at once, and this was after his first 3 Corsairs killed 4 Overlords without losing any.
Right.
I mean, he was on fire this entire game.
And honestly, Rain just looks to be such a threat here. I guess we're going to go to a commercial with... Yeah, okay, the graphic was late. Guys, we're going to go to Monopoly next, but first, a commercial break.
힘들어도
어려워도 이렇게 멈추면 내가 아니지.
오늘이 뭐야?
새로운 나를 만든다.
나의 레벨은 다르다.
어너더 레벨
핫식스.
어려워도 이렇게 멈추면 내가 아니지. 오늘이 뭐야? 새로운 나를 만든다. 나의 레벨은 다르다. 어너더 레벨 핫식스.
아침은 라떼 홀리 점심은 라떼 홀리 저녁엔 라떼 홀리 둥글하게 달콤하게 라떼 홀리 달달한 충전이 필요할 땐 칸타타
Rain vs. Soma continues on. What an insane series this is. Honestly, even though it's close, it doesn't feel like it with the exception of one game. You know what I'm saying? Like, Rain has really boxed his way through every single game. Almost won on Butter. Had a commanding performance on Eclipse. Of course, he won the first 2 games in the series as well. But, you know, Arctos, what was it, Vermeer, where Soma won? Is that the map? Or am I mixing this up?
No.
I'm getting out my map names.
Vermeer had the goated sunken, but then
that's right. I'm sorry.
Storm drop that was super cool.
I'm sorry.
Butter was the victory for Soma, followed by
what was the? Why can we not remember the map? Allegro. Sorry, guys.
I just remembered. I
couldn't remember. It's so funny. I had this whole point I wanted to make, and I'm like, uh-oh. I don't know all the names of things, of the stuff I'm talking about. We're going to go to Monopoly for Game 6. Rain, if he wins here, it's all over, man. If Soma gets the 3rd victory, then we go to Metaverse for Game 7.
All right. That's what I really want to see, honestly, is game number 7. We'll see if Soma can do it.
Good luck, Soma. Let's go.
모노폴리에서 게임을 시작합니다.
So we have Rain in that right spawn, and in the top left, we're going to have Soma. Monopoly, a 3-player map. Trying to think of PVZs that we've seen here, and I can't think of one right now.
Yeah, I guess we've sort of managed to avoid PVZ entirely on this map, unless I'm forgetting something.
Yeah, I guess the map data there says that 1 game was played, whereas Zerg won. But I mean, that I can't even remember what it was at this point. But definitely not a very played map in the matchup. And since it was picked very lowly, it doesn't seem like either side is super into it.
Yeah, I look at this as a Protoss player. I don't want to play a Zerg on this map, but I think even as a Zerg, you probably don't want to... Maybe it's okay. Maybe you could try to take the bottom left and I don't know. It's a weird map, you know?
By the way, a 9 pull again, and it looks like Rain is trying to go Nexus first, so we're going to see what he does against a scouted first 9 pull here.
Let's see if he keeps the gas. No, cancel. Okay. We really don't have 9 pull speed in professional matches anymore.
No, we really don't. That's like a bad ladder build, I think, at this point.
Yeah, it's like, you know, I want to try to do some kind of an all-in, but yeah, pretty much not viable. So it's going to be a forge, and then we just see if he can get a cannon first or not.
I mean, against 9-pull, I would imagine you have to go Cannon Nexus, right? It should look like we just saw an Eclipse, I would imagine.
Yeah, actually, you're completely correct. What am I saying? Yeah, of course. You'd have to get a cannon first. And
he actually only starts one larva, though. Look at that.
Yeah, that is interesting. Well, I guess, if you make the 6-lings and they just, defend it with ease, it's probably not worth it. Keep in mind that Soma basically tried to do that fun opening where you make a bunch of lings and kind of generate a threat where it's like, well, can you really just have one building keep you alive? That's always the scary thing about going for Forge builds, and I think it's why historically, it took Protoss a long time to get, really, really good at this. Because you don't have anything that you can micro, and so much of Brood War, especially the early game, is about micro. Anything can kind of beat anything, in that, if it's controlled well enough. But a building really can't. I mean, there's some things you can do with buildings, but really not that much. And so, just kind of putting that pressure on is the way he wanted to start. But this time, he basically forces the cannon first, at least making Rain respect the opening from Soma. But then behind that, what Soma wants to do is actually drone like crazy, making literally the bare minimum of lings, just 2.
Yeah, in fact, he went like hatchery, drone, ling. So it was definitely some mind games here. It still forced the Forge and the cannon before the Nexus, but he didn't waste extra larva on those lings. So, I mean, you already see that these guys are really adapting to the way that each other are playing this game. And look at that, Soma, once again, just like map 1, is going to make a Hydralisk Den at the natural, but there's a second probe coming out, which it went under an Overlord, but yeah, I mean, you see the Hydralisk Den. What do you even do with this information? Because you can't go for the Hydras now, right?
Well, I don't think so, especially not with the second probe right-clicked on the minerals so that he can just keep scouting. I think you come in there and I mean, this has to be awkward, but I mean, there's sort of this weird poker game where, okay, we're both really smart, so how do we outsmart 2 guys that, are trying to play perfectly? Gosh, I'm not really articulating this very well. What I'm trying to say is that, some players would say, well, you just don't make any Hydras. Others might say, well, it's almost so counterintuitive, let's just go for it. And maybe he tries to cut corners anyways. And here it is, the Rain Classic Citadel of Adun with a second gas. Maybe we see that Stargate start in a minute here. Maybe not.
I love this Dragoon, by the way.
Yeah.
Picking off this Overlord. There is that second Overlord that kind of peeked in and saw the Citadel go up. But I don't think he can actually catch that one. This is really cool watching them adapt to each other. I am truly enjoying this Zerg vs. Protoss.
Yeah, I mean, they're really playing very smart. I don't see anything, so he just makes a layer. So you get the den, and you basically hang on to that like it's an investment for later on. You're not going to have to make a den anymore in this game, but you're not going to use it right now. And the scouting from Rain has been pretty spot on, to where he pretty much knows there probably shouldn't be any real threat of Hydras here. He does get a 3rd cannon anyways, and that's not a crazy commitment. I mean, 3, is enough. Is the Zerg just going to come down here and try to get the Forge or the Gateway?
Well, he made that cannon a little bit more forward. Will that prevent Hydras from killing the Forge? Maybe if they get range, they can kill it or something, but it makes it a lot harder, right?
I think so. We see that he got speed, though. I mean, these are very fast Hydras. Certainly range could be being produced. I think you might still be able to get the Forge, but I could be wrong.
Oh. Cannons have, really silly range. They're
No, cannons
they outrange siege tanks sometimes.
Cannons are in some ways, the greatest thing in the game, and then in some ways they're so stupid, for how fast they die, but then they do so much damage, it's crazy. And we saw a double Stargate, dude, and this is a very well-hidden Stargate. Now, when you see a Dragoon early in PvZ, that can mean they're trying to hide tech. And I guess this answers our question. There is range for the Hydras, obviously. I guess we should have just known that, but it's always hard to tell with range and Brood War. So he chases this out. He gets the upgrade. He's going to go for a Templar Archives. But the 2 Stargates is kind of a plot twist here.
And there is a Spire coming up, so maybe they're going to catch each other, right? Like, maybe he looks at this and says, you know what, Soma should be going Mutas to counter my Citadel build. He already saw the Citadel. I'm already out here with Speedlots. And then he can catch him off guard with the double Stargate Corsair, I guess? Like, I think that has to be the way that you're thinking about this, because you're, like, literally fighting against speed range Hydras, and you're like, I have to make a lot of Corsairs right now. And that just has to be a mind game.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like... It's like... we were talking about how, like, they're trying to outsmart each other and kind of play counterintuitive. This is, like, also very counterintuitive, right? Like, you kind of guess, well, they must be going for some kind of, you know, air later on if the Hydras aren't going to be viable. Then a couple Hydras come down. But he did go into the Mutas, so, I mean, I guess this works out for the Corsairs, right?
Well, that's what we thought in the other game with double Stargate Corsair, and then 40 Scourge pushed him back, and he just kind of dominated. So Soma seems very good against Corsairs with his Muta Scourge. We'll see if that's going to be the case here.
You know, it's funny. I feel like this is one of the harder PvZs I've casted. It's been so... It's been such a weird dance that they're both doing. And so, again, he doesn't know for sure that this is actually mass Stargate. He doesn't see it yet. I think when you see 4, then you know. And by the way, attacking in the bottom like this, you can pretty much chase down the Mutas. So he basically fractures them all off, and they're all going to have to split and hide. He might be able to catch even a few more.
The way those things were moving, Tastosis, it was like one of the campaign missions where you fly over the Zerg base and there's just Mutas patrolling in different locations. It was so silly looking. It's like, yeah, this is a bad computer right here. But actually, it's really hard to split flying units like that so quickly.
He does get a Scourge to connect, but he's not going to prevent these Corsairs from, you know, causing supply blocks here. Soma at 68 of 68. This is a very important moment in the game for the Zerg. You really want to protect your Overlords. It's kind of a catch-22 because you need all your Overlords to stay alive, but you need some Overlords to spot in some locations, or the Protoss can just surprise you by attacking at certain areas. So it's a very tricky moment for the Zerg.
Oh, we have 7 Corsairs here. The Muta's kind of being thrown out a little bit, it looks like. Like, they seem to be on, like, a one-way mission here to scout, figure out what's going on. Yeah, the Corsairs kind of chase them out very quickly. But it also seems to me like there's enough Hydras at each Overlord location that the Corsairs... Like, I'm sure because I've seen Rain do it before, and I've seen some other Protosses like Beast do it before, I'm sure they're going to get some damage throughout the game. But it doesn't feel like they can do much right now.
Yeah, so far, Soma's pretty comfortable. He's sealed up. Now, let's remember that there's this overall issue that comes from massing Corsairs like this. Now, if they lean too far into mass Muta, you just win, right? But Hydras are a threat. Hydras are a problem, right? And so you really need to have enough Templars with Storm, and then later on enough Dragoons with range to combat Hydraless Lurker.
Okay, I'm just looking at this game state. To me, Tasteless, the way that I understand macro and everything, I don't feel like this is a very good position for Rain at all. It looks to me like he is going to get outmassed. He's going to have a few Storms, but this is a lot of Hydras incoming. So I just wonder if there's any like special options he has. I see where he's taking his third, and he's just taking it as far away as he can. But I was going to ask, like, maybe if it's smarter to try to take one of these like high ground bases and try to hold a ramp, or maybe even because he has such air control right now to try to take the middle, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be it.
I feel like the middle's quite bad, actually. I mean, I think they already have Overlord speed. They get drop, and you just can't fight it, you know? I think early game, Protoss can steal islands and do stuff with it. Late game, it's a lot harder. I mean, we got to see. Keep in mind, there's this sort of oh, hold on, dude. Big drop coming in here, and these Corsairs are far away enough. There's no way to contest this.
Oh man, those eggs really in the way right now. These Hydra's going to drop right on top of these cannons, it looks like. But as the Zealots and High Templars come up, Soma turns around. He knows that that's going to be a slaughter if he drops right there. So a good block from Rain. Just barely hearing that loading sound as he retreated.
Yeah, I mean, a smart play for sure there by Soma to not overcommit. Good Zergs use drop a lot, but really good Zergs know exactly when to pull out of drop, even when it's very tempting, you know, because sometimes the game just ends with a good drop.
I thought you were going to say, like, good Zergs drop a lot, but, like, really good Zergs don't. Because Soma, like, pulls back there, and it's like, oh, no, that would be really bad. Like, it looked like it was going to be good, then it totally wasn't going to be.
You got to know when, you know, you're going to overcommit. And, again, I think that this is a map where you could once more just set up a Lurker Contain and try to take out the third base. And, you know, with the delayed storm and everything else, and maybe the excess of Zealots that kind of organically occurs with this build, I don't know, man. I mean, I feel like this is going to be kind of tough for Rain if the Lurker Contain gets up. For now, though, he isn't going for a Contain in the sense that he's controlling the exit of the natural for the Protoss. Instead, he's got, like, a Lurker, I guess, blockade to try to sandbag progress from a push that would be headed northbound.
Yeah, this is actually... this is one of the reasons I really like watching Monopoly, is look at how different the map is. He can't really get the Contain up. Like, you've already won if you get into that position. And so he is blockading, like you said, this area, and maybe he can, like, take the bases there. But Rain still has a lot of freedom of movement on the map right now.
He certainly does. You know, I want to contest that. I don't know that he has total freedom. Again, this is not like a map with an opening. You kind of have to attack one way or really push back. Hold on a second. Big storms coming down. The Zealots are going to eat a lot of damage, but I'll tell you what, the initial defenses are kind of down and the hatchery's exposed. And you kind of want to treat these Dragoons like they're siege tanks. Like, set them up over here.
Rain is busting in reasonably well. The Lurkers are shredding the Zealots still. I think it might be time for him to just focus at hatchery. Yeah, he is going to pick that off. Still plenty of storms, so the Hydras can't really come in here for free. Nice storms there. Takes down a couple more Lurkers and another Hydra. Some of the observers being picked off, so Soma kind of saving himself that way, and he takes the middle! Finally, someone has expanded to the middle.
Yeah, look at that, man. Again, though, Rain is, you know, very comfortable making shuttles. Does Rain keep pushing? I mean, that's what I'm asking myself here. It seems like, you know, he could do a couple more rounds out of the gateways and maybe go for it. A Hive is coming, and when Defilers are out, you know, between Plague and Dark Swarm, you know, super backed by Consume, it's a problem. It's a huge problem for the Protoss. So, you know, is he going to do something before that tech can really be realized, or is he just in this for the long run? I don't know.
Well, some Hydras coming down, trying to pick off the High Templars. They do get some, but get stormed out as well. Rain moving around the left side of the map with these Speed Zealots. And, you know, Soma, I guess, once he gets that middle base is like, well, obviously it's 2 gases, but not quite 2 bases worth of mineral patches. I'm interested to see how he's going to play that. Like, does he go into, like, Defilers? But hold on, this big push is coming in to the main defensive area here of Soma. I think Soma is in a little bit of trouble, Tasteless. The Zealot's hitting his third base at the same time. He's thin everywhere.
Yeah, he's kind of powering this down, isn't he? I mean, if he gets in here, I think that distraction over at the third base actually paid off in dividends. Because now this position is completely fractured. And I think that there's actually no sunk here. I guess there's one, like, pretty far away, a not goated sunk. And so, you know, once again, he's, like, on top of the rallies here. He's pushed into the most uncomfortable position for the Zerg, where, you know, units are going to be filtered from various directions. Again, Zerg units are very brittle when isolated. So, like, I think that this could be the tipping point in this game, Artosis.
Yeah, in fact, we see dancing going on from Rain. He knows he's going to be going to another finals in ASL, as Soma just doesn't have anything left. He has doubled his supply. an amazing Protoss versus Zerg series here out of Rain. Honestly, the best modern PvZ that we've seen. I would put this over Mini, personally, and I loved Mini's play.
I agree. I think it's better than the way Mini plays. He's just got a more refined approach to kind of take the Zerg head on. You know, years ago, I think especially last year, we talked about the Zerg very much being in control on the 3 bases, but Rain plays a very passive style, kind of fills in all the parts of his macro machine, comes out and engages with these great pushes while doing these great drops or these great Zealot counterattacks. And now we've got Rain in the finals, man. I thought this would be Rain's toughest match yet. Man, was I wrong.
It's wild to me. It's wild to me that this is how it went down. I really did come into tonight thinking Soma would take it, but Rain looked better in every way. Soma's still one of the very best Zergs in the world, if not the best at the moment. But Rain showing that he is really that other level. And that finals is going to be out of control. Of course, don't forget we're going to have Soma versus Bisu, the rematch coming up. Little highlight from that previous game. You can see, yeah, this is the point where Rain just started to push in for the kill and also hit the 3rd base with those Zealots. He really knows how to hit every location. I love watching his PvZ, man.
Yeah, he just knows. I mean, you know, it's funny. I would look at this on the map and be like, yeah, there's no way. But notice he doesn't use really almost any Zealots for the main push. He uses them somewhere else where they're going to be a much more efficient fighter. He just has one Zealot come in here to soak, and then he kind of slow drips them during the fight. But, I mean, this is kind of crazy, man. He pushed through the 4th and then pushed right into this location. And again, it's not the first time we've mentioned it in the series, but if you get on top of the rally points, it's a nightmare. It's a mechanical catastrophe for the Zerg to deal with.
Yeah, once that happens, it's like almost no chance. Like to re-rally all these different hatcheries in different areas and then to also bring the units in at the right time, because Zerg has to kind of attack together. You know, you're not going to be able to just bleed a few units in and take this out. But yeah, just masterful play here from Rain. I don't even know how to describe it because I was so impressed with Bisu's PvZ this season, but Rain's looks better than that.
Well, if you notice, he doesn't seem to get Templar energy. I don't think he got... was Observer speed upgraded?
No.
Yeah, it seems like it's a slow ops, right?
Yeah, well, I get it. I mean, that's too much gas, man. Just save that for other stuff.
Yeah,
he just keeps them back and, like, macros them out.
Yeah, he's more focused on just having at least one observer in the fight. He doesn't care about having 3 storms instead of 2. He just kind of knows how to steamroll it. It's interview time, guys. Let's see how Rain, our finalist, is feeling.
우선 저도 신기해요. 예, 저도 은퇴하고 다시 복귀했는데 지금 결승까지 진출해가지고 좀 신기하긴 한데 네, 한 경기 한 경기 그냥 좀 즐기다 보니까 더 마음이 편해져가지고 오늘 이기게 된 것 같아요. 우선 되게 다시 이제 은퇴하고 이제 복귀했을 때 조금 트렌드도 많이 바뀌고 제가 실력이 많이 떨어져 있어가지고 진짜 손가락이 아플 정도로 맨날 연습 많이 하고 평소에 이제 게임 생각을 많이 하기도 했는데 근데 오늘 결과는 잘 모르겠어요. 그냥 뭐 재능인 것 같기도 하고 왜냐하면은 오늘 그냥 좀 973 위주로 하더라고요. 짭제 선수가 박상현 선수가 그래가지고 제가 원래 973은 많이 안 할 거라고 생각을 했는데 973 상대로 준비를 그렇게 많이 한 건 아닌데 그냥 그래서 즉흥적으로 했는데 이겨가지고 좀 신기해요. 우선 항상 제가 16강이나 뭐 예선할 때부터 좀 빨리 떨어질 거다라고 예상을 항상 하시는 분들이 많아가지고, 근데 항상 저는 스타2 때도 그렇고 스타1 때도 그렇고 항상 못한다고 하면은 증명을 해냈거든요. 그래서 오늘도 좀 증명해낸 것 같아서 뿌듯해요. 우선 재호 형이랑 16강에서 했을 때도 제가 이기긴 했는데 그때 정말 잘한다고 느껴가지고 쉽지 않은 상대가 될 것 같아요. 그리고 왜냐하면은 4강전에서 프로토스전을 준비했기 때문에 좀 연속으로 같은 종족전 하면은 좀 편하더라고요. 제가 이번에 저그전 준비해봤는데 그래서 좀 쉽지 않을 것 같긴 한데 그래도 제가 이길 것 같아요. 우선 저번에도 연습 도와준 선수들이 다 도와줬는데 박재혁, 이영한, 이혜훈, 조일장, 김성대 이렇게 저그 선수들이 자기 이제 일도 안 하고 연습 도와줘가지고 정말 고맙다고 말하고 싶고, 저번에 그리고 8강전 때 또 염석대 친구들이 많이 조금 몰입해가지고 응원해 주더라고요. 뭐 절하대 친구도 그렇고 보성형도 그렇고 그래가지고 좀 그 친구들이 조금 어떻게 보면 또 원동력이 된 것 같아요. 그리고 항상 고맙다고 말하고 싶고, 그리고 마지막으로 또 팬분들이 항상 저를 뭐 관심이면 관심이고 사랑이면 사랑인데 항상 할 수 있다고 응원해 주셔가지고 저도 힘을 얻고 이 자리까지 온 것 같아요. 정말 팬분들한테 다시 감사드린다고 하고 싶습니다. 예, 감사합니다.
This was a fun series, man. This really made new wrinkles on my brain, for sure.
Oh, yeah, I'm actually kind of jealous of all the stuff you must have learned tonight from Rain, because this was just like a schooling in how to play Protoss First Zerg properly, because he like muscled through a lot of the games. There was definitely sneakiness in there as well, but it was really well planned out. Like, not just like only tricking, but more like I've scouted this, so we do this type of things. Just amazingly done. He's God tier, man. Like, truly, Rain is God tier.
Yeah, and I mean, I like what you said. It's definitely like really solid stuff that can help you improve. It's not wacky stuff that's so abstract. It's like, well, how are you going to know? You know, when are you going to be in a situation where you can pull this off, queuing up in ladder games? But he had a lot of really solid stuff. I'd love to do a deep dive into what exactly he's doing with his build. You know, Citadel into Stargate. What the upgrade lineups are. But, I mean, look, this is going to be a fantastic finals. Rain versus Light. And once that's done, guys, we're going to immediately have that recorded and put out.
Yeah, this finals is actually kind of crazy, and I don't know what to think, because I think that Rain is really better than almost everybody. But this is the hardest opponent for someone that's so brainy like Rain. Light will not miss a beat mechanically. He's been a pro gamer longer than Rain. His macro is at least as good, if not better. And Light doesn't ever really panic. Like, he will just keep his stuff together. He will make good decisions, and he will bring that force with him, where it's like, if you don't kill him, he will kill you. So I think this is going to be a highly contested finals.
Yeah, I think Light's still maybe slightly favored, only because I don't think that Rain can win a PvT the way that he can actually win a PvZ. You know, just like with a powerful push like that, like the way that he was able to overpower Soma and kind of just come across the map and crush him. PvT is a very different beast now.
It certainly is, but to be fair, Rain looked really, really strong in his PVTs already this season. He looked very improved in the matchup and did kind of like run over Royal, if I'm remembering correctly, like just slaughtered him. And Royal is like third best Terran in the world right now. So he's definitely good at the matchup. I think it is hard to call. I feel like I do lean a little bit towards Light as well, though.
Okay, well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. This has been an amazing season, and I think we're going to be ending on a high note here with Rain versus Light. We love you guys. If you want to support us on Patreon, it's patreon.com/ASL English.
Season 13 Unlimited.